Welcome to the GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS. And our opening round of the 2020 season comes from Italy's Adriatic coast, from the circuit Marco Simoncelli at Misano, where bright, hot conditions greet our field of 22 cars, split between 6 manufacturers and 14 teams, all ready to do battle on this tight, twisty track to find out which pairing might be the most effective across them. Not the regular 2, but 3 one-hour sprint races. Born from Black Falcon, the new Hout Racing team's dynamic pairing of Maro Engel and Lukas Stolz is really on scintillating form. And they've already scored 2 wins on the Nürburgring Nordschleife this year, so they start the event as favourites, as Stolz explains.
Imola was a busy weekend for us. I think we were not that bad. We were 6th in qualifying, but then it was a messy start, and then we got pushed out and got a drive-through. It was really a messy weekend, but the pace was there, the pace was in the car. So I'm hoping to be back on the podium this week.
There's just one Lexus RCF in the race at Misano, but Aurélien Panis, a second-year Lexus racer and, of course, a second-generation driver, is seeking glory in a full European campaign, along with his fellow French racer, Thomas Neubauer, who explains the scale of their challenge.
Well, actually, it's not that easy going from single-seater to GT cars. But with such a great team as Tech One, makes it really easier, actually. So yeah, just feel really good in this team and in this category.
Long-time Ferrari test driver Andrea Bertolini is looking for the 5th year in succession to help Louis Michiels to shoot for glory in the Pro-Am class. And the Italian and Belgian pairing really fancy their chances in their fabulous-looking AF Corsa Ferrari 488 GT3, particularly here at Misano, as Michiels explains.
I'm so happy with the team of Amato Ferrari. It's a very good professional team. So we went last year for the 3rd time European champion, together with my very good friend Alberto, Andrea Bertolini, and Nick Homerson. So let's hope we can do the same.
Chilean racer Benjamin Itez introduces a new nationality to the championship as he shoots for title honours in the silver class, and he has a rapid and capable teammate to support his title push in French ace Jim Pla.
Yeah, the team performs really well here at Misano. The car yesterday felt really good. We managed to do a good lap time, and that's good, so we hope we keep improving the car with the team, so that's the plan for today.
2018 World Lamborghini Super Trofeo champion Giacomo Altoe partners long-time GT racer Albert Costa out of the ML Fry Racing camp. And Italy's rising GT star is looking to spearhead Lamborghini's 2020 Sprint Series attack.
For sure it will not be easy, but yeah, it's my home race. I'm really looking forward to it with my team, Lamborghini, my teammates, so it looks everything good and everything ready for this race weekend.
Well, qualifying is over and the racing is upon us. This weekend treated not to 1, but 2, but 3 races, the first of which is this evening race at the circuit Marco Simoncelli for GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS. The stage is set perfectly. I'm Bruce Jones, and I have John Watson alongside me, looking on an evening in which the temperatures are kindly starting to drop, the humidity falling slightly, but it's still going to be about track position and, of course, tyre life. 22 cars in all, 16 turns on the circuit. This is turn 16. They're approaching now, 2 by 2, 11 rows of cars on the side away from the pit wall. That's the side that has pole position, the Lexus of Thomas Neubauer, waiting for the lights on the gantry to go. From red to green, a very quick flick, and who's read it best? Gounon seems to have a little bit more momentum down to the first corner. Can he put the nose of that green Bentley in front? Certainly Neubauer doesn't want him to do so. Job done for Gounon, because right hand goes to left hand. In the background, we've got one of the Audis running very wide indeed. Is that Tamita?
We've got 2 Audis in back, and you can see Jules Gounon trying to come back. He's trying to go the long way around turn 3 up into turn 4. Side by side, virtually side by side into turn 4. Then 5. Gounon gets shuffled out a little bit to the outside of the track, and that's the Thomas Neubauer. He is marginally ahead, so he has got the right to do that. Now, out of turn 6, and look behind, cars coming through turn 6 all over the place. I think there might have been contact just at the back end of the field, saw one car shooting off to the right.
Yeah, doing the housework. It was Nicholas Scholl who ran right at turn 1. Somehow, though, those behind seemed to avoid it. And then at turn 3 and 4, we saw Giacomo Alto going a bit backwards, not backwards in style, but backwards in terms of position. But the grid order has been maintained at the front, with the exception of Lucas Stoltz forcing up about 4 positions in the HRT Mercedes. That's the orange one, but it's Neubauer and Alexis from Gunon who must have thought he'd managed to get through into the lead in the Bentley, but he's back in second place. Oh dear, car 52's gone for rotation, one of the 2 Ferraris, both in the Pro-Am class. Let's take a look at the replay at the start. Thomas Neubauer on pole position didn't seem to get the start as well done as Gunon. Gunon put the nose of the green Bentley in front. The next corner is a right-hander. He's got half the car length in front. At this point, I thought surely he'd taken the lead, but somehow Neubauer was quick enough into turn 3 as 2 cars behind, including Brugier's Audi, went wide.
A little bit of action up. That is what is that
change
all
for
about?
third place.
That's
Why
Jimmy
Pla made
Pla.
it so easy?
He's made 2 cars. Well, Jimmy Pla is in reality not in that race. He is in a race for the Silver Cup. But why would he have given it up so easily unless there was a mistake coming out of turn 3 in the run into turn 4? You didn't have to ask Tomita or Charles Furch twice as to whether they want to get past. So Jimmy Pla's gone from 3rd down to 5th.
Look at a replay. He just went too deep into the corner, didn't he?
He went a bit deep. He got very wide. He got onto probably the rubber on the outside of the corner. Now, look, Bentley can't get any closer to the back of the Lexus. I mean, but where is the space? Where's he going to... I mean, the Bentley is a physically large car. The Lexus isn't exactly a shrinking violet. But again, Gunya almost running into the back of the Lexus coming into turn 14. Neubauer seemed to get slightly ruffled. I don't know why. Just looked as if he lost track position fractionally. Maybe that's the pressure coming down the straight on that last lap.
It could be. The toe surely has to work at some stage. And again, past the pits this time. Super tight underneath, but there isn't going to be the space up the inside into turn 1. But he's a racing driver, Jules Gounon. He's got to keep hinting that he's going to be making a move. And in fact, the move will probably come in one which he doesn't hint, just does it.
Yeah,
but he's running out of time. Right, the pit window is now open. It opened after the front runners went past, but anyone at the tail end of the field, the second half of the field, can dive in to make their one and only pit stop in this race if they want from now on. But for the race leaders, there was no intention to go in. They were just too early, come at what may. So let's run down the order. Thomas Neubauer leading from Jules Gounon. So you've got Lexus from Bentley, French driver and French team from French driver and French team. Then the 2 Belgian Audi Club Team WRT entries, Riachiro Tomita and Charles Weerts. Jim Pla had run 3rd, he's fallen back to 5th in one swoop. But Tommaso Mosca, what a great run for him, the attempt to Audi team in 6th place. And the first of the pit visitors in there early on, Lucas Stoltz, very wise to it, HRT. He was just far enough back to be able to make that dive.
Yeah, the leader is in. So Neubauer has got in, releasing. Now, Gounon has got the opportunity for the next, 7.5 minutes to make hay while everybody else is doing their pit stops. He now needs to nail what he knows is the potential the Bentley's got and build sufficiently, because he's been stuck behind the Lexus for, the best part of 27 minutes.
Yeah, the thing was, as soon as you saw that, the rear shot looking at the start-finish straight, nobody in front of him. He's got no interruption. This is the golden hour for Jules Gounon. Now, how good is the pit stop going to be for the number 15? Lexus going to be taken over by Aurélien Panis, and he is going to be putting as much pressure. I said the track was clear, but unfortunately one of the SPS Mercedes, the Mad Panda Mercedes, has come out in front of. That's still out on the track. That's really unfortunate there for the race leader Jules Gounon. He doesn't want that car still there, but that car. Where are the flags on the outside? All the tenths of seconds that could be gained are being squandered right now for Gounon. He will be livid.
And that will play arguably to the strengths now of the Lexus making its way down pit lane. He's in the pits too. So a quick stop now. Maybe the best thing is to follow the race leader. Oh, whoa, that was a bit slippy coming in. Maybe this is where Bentley can take the lead of the race. But in my view, keep an eye on those 2 Audis behind.
Yeah, well, what we need to see, of course, is what the track is like in terms of traffic when the Lexus gets back out and gets back up to speed, because certainly Ezequiel Perez Companc, or his car, the Mad Panda Motorsports Mercedes, did no favours at all there to Jules Gounon, who was out there to maximise his time, what he hoped to be a clear lap. Charles Weerts is in number 32. That's going to be handed over to Dries Van Tor. They're a fantastic pairing. They really, really have been shining in recent years and won one of the 2 races here last year. And Charles walks away into the back of the garage. Lost a bit of ground at the start, unfortunately for him. Was one of the drivers who got shoved a little bit wide in the first 2 corners. But back onto terra firma. Firma and the other WRT crew get him away nice. So it's the turn of Aurelien Panis, but the fact is he's out behind and he's got, was that just dust going over the curves? I suddenly thought he had bodywork, but no. It's worked as you suggested it might do. The CMR crew have, despite being thwarted when Gounon tried to stay out for another lap, they've got him out ahead.
The Lexus is slowing down. Is that slowing down?
Well, maybe it is. It isn't just dust.
There's something coming from that's got a problem. Now, whether that was, he went over the grass coming out of turn 5 and kicked up a load of dirt behind. Suddenly the car has slowed down, and that is, look up at the back of turn 10. Maro Engel dives down the inside.
Welcome to European racing. Benjamin Itez finds that Maro Engel doesn't take no for an answer. That's unfortunate there, John. Yeah. Very spectacular, not what the doctor ordered.
No, and I mean, he's got the Audi all over him like up the inside, coming into turn 6, out of turn 16, into turn 16. So, why did you get impatient? Now, that was unnecessary, but there we go.
And that was Fred Verviche, and you really do not expect that from a driver of his experience.
Christopher Haas, hanging on. Christopher Haas is the beneficiary of all this, because and Haas has had to cut inside the corner. He's gained an advantage. He's got to give that back up. You can't overtake like that and not give it back up.
John, you've just lost all of your money and all of my money. You would not bet on Verviche and Haas, two of the most experienced racers in Audi R8 LMSs, both making a mistake in no time at all. Is that Mercedes putting out some oil or something? Because both the cars behind had moments where they came up behind the 89 Mercedes.
Not seeing anything, but clearly Christopher Haas was the beneficiary. But then coming through turn 2, he decided to dive down the inside. There we see, very, very tippy-toe going into turn 8. And the Mercedes has got good straight line speed. I mean, whatever you say about his inexperience, Benjamin Heathers is not giving it away. Look, rubbing door handle and up the inside.
Matthias Rudy's gone wide, having gained a position. There he is, kicking up the dirt. That was slurring the whole way down the straight. Everyone behind's got a face full of dust, but Heathers is hanging on. He's having fun.
And up the inside. Oh, there we go. The inevitable happened. And
you had to feel for Heathers there because Verviche pulled across on him because Rudy had gone up the inside.
Who drove into the back of the Mercedes? I can't say he was wrong on-sighted. That was careless.
Drudy goes up the inside of Verviche, hits the curbs.
It was Drudy that hit the back of the Mercedes.
Yeah.
And then that rotated. There you go. As there you can see the damage to the front. So quite a substantial hit. So when this race goes green, which it's about to do as the cars exit out of turn 15, and you can see already Pancicici is up and running, but Dries Van Thor has not let him get away.
Bit of a twitch through turn 15 from the race leader, Pancicici, and certainly in behind. Van Thor is getting very close indeed. He managed to gain a half car length there. Engel in 4th place, weaving around in the orange-black Mercedes.
But again, you can see the Bentley has just got that little bit of advantage over the Audi coming down to the turn. But look, Van Thor makes a lunge up the inside. Has a bit of a body rub. Now watch. Kelvin Van Der Linde thought he was going to come through as well, so didn't. I said it would have to happen on the opening lap after the safety car. Pancicici trying to come back. He's got his best chance, but up the inside, Kelvin Van Der Linde. So now the Mercedes likewise. So Bentley's been mugged. Plain and simple, it's been mugged.
Well, quite simply, what happened there was Dries Van Thor thought, I'm GT through and through. You're a driver, Pancicici, who's been racing in sports prototypes. You're quick, but this is what we do in GT racing. Up the inside, and it was inevitable that Van Der Linde would follow through because through the next few corners, particularly through turn 9, the Bentley was out wide and the second Audi went through and in behind. Christopher Haas getting a knock on the tail side by side, but unfortunately only half a car length back, and unfortunately for Haas, he's lost position there. Maro Engel hangs on, but Haas does not give up through turn 16, side by side with the Attempto car. I think that's Matthias Drudy, or is it Fred Verviche? He's not asking questions right now, he's trying to keep them behind.
Well, that's getting really rough. And that mid-group, what, 4 or 5 Audis and the Lamborghini. So 55's got to back out of it. So that would be, is that Matthias
Drudy?
Yeah.
And behind, who's sensing place gain? Possibly, well, it'd be Rafa Marciello, of course. Let's take a look. That is a phenomenal move from the fastest of the Audi drivers at the moment. The driver who's got to the front of the race, Dries Van Thor, just mugged Nelson Pancicici.
In Bruce, in fairness, the Bentley hung way out on the right-hand side of the racetrack. He almost sent an invitation through the post.
But he's now approaching turn 16 on this 16-turn track. Big battling in behind, but it looks though Engel is safe in 4th place. But for Team WRT, 1st and 2nd place is Dries Van Thor leading Kelvin Van Der Linde over the line, and importantly for Bentley, they at least achieve a 3rd place. Don't forget, this is a customer team. in the Bentley camp now. Charles Weerts did the starting stint, and Dries Van Tor very much did the finishing stint. 8/10 of a second clear of their teammates. But to Riichiro Tomita, what a start for him in European racing, showing the car in second place with Kelvin Van Der Linde. Jules Gounon and Nelson Panciatici, what might have been if it hadn't had that safety car period. So let's go down and hear the thoughts of the winning duo, Charles Weerts and Dries Van Tor.
Dries, that moment at the end there, really, you saw the opportunity at that safety car coming in, and you really gave the Bentley no other choice.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I was happy that there was a safety car, and then I saw he was a bit struggling on the first push laps. So yeah, I tried to get my moment, and he made a small mistake going into 6. And I went for it. Luckily, he gave me space, and it went well. I mean, it was also nice to see that my teammate got through as well in the next corner. So it's a very nice 1-2 for WRT.
Absolutely. The Audi really seemed to have the pace throughout the session. Charles, you've been quick all weekend.
Yeah, I mean, qualifying was not bad. Not exactly what we wanted, but it was still fine. Then, the poor start, lost one position, then I gained it again when I overtook Lucas in turn 8. Pace was good. Then, I was behind the teammate, so no risk. We had the guys in the pit stop did an amazing job. I think his out lap and my in lap was pretty good also. We got P2, and safety car helped. So really pleased with the results.
A fantastic weekend all around for the WRT team. Congratulations, well done, boys.
Thank you.
Of course, this is a 2020 style podium with social distancing. It's driver pairings at a time. Stand in the paddock, not on the steps of the podium any longer. We will get used to it, and for Team WRT, delight as well. The sun is shining over the circuit Marco Simoncelli for the second of our 3, just reiterate it, 3 sprint races here. Now, let's look at the points from the global GT World Challenge with the points accumulated across the various continents. Ferrari, Mercedes in the mix. There's the Mercedes Challenger as well. 3 manufacturers. Lamborghini also going for the honours in 2020. We'll see how they hang at the end of the year, but points accumulated in the American races, European races, and hopefully later in the season the Asian series as well. But Mercedes galloping clear at the moment, Ferrari keeping them honest, but Lamborghini, they've qualified quite well here. Let's see if they can start to make inroads.
But here they are, formation lap into turn 16, waiting for the lights. They're red, you can see.
Is Marcello going to get it correct from the right-hand side of the track? His nose is in front, and the lights are green. It looks very good indeed. A gain from about 5th place, but Marcello's got it nailed down into turn 1. Lamborghini's been a little bit out-muscled to the outside of turn 1. Will it be in position? No, it's still in 4th place. Going for 3rd up the inside of Maro Engel, but will it still be there around the outside at turn 3? Probably not, but what is indisputable is the fact the pole man is at the front when you go into turn number 4. Job done, and in behind him, Kelvin Van Der Linde, nice, safe and tidy, and unfortunately one of the Sansalot cars, that's Christopher Haas, getting shoved a little bit wide, and the person who's gained is Nelson Panciatici in the green metallic Bentley's gained a place or 2. Invaluable here.
Albert Costa trying to find a way around Maro Engel on the grass, hitting the side of the Mercedes, literally a hitman's shoulder. That was more than that was almost GBH, I would have said.
That was hip, shoulder and handbag, one feels.
I mean, Costa was very aggressive on those opening 3 corners and finally made it stick, but again the Mercedes trying to come back around the outside through turn 9 into turn 10, but in danger in opening up the inside to let one of the Audis that's following behind. So a lot of aggression on the opening lap. You can see the Mercedes and the Lamborghini nose to tail coming through turns 12 on this back, this dog leg straight down into the braking zone into turn 13, and then try and stay on track. Often not the case there, as the area, as always, drivers tend to find themselves drifting out. But a good start for Marciello, but Kelvin Van Der Linde is going to keep him honest.
Certainly is, and it was Dries Van Tor who was running in 5th place. Amazing rear shots looking back at the Hout Racing team. Mercedes seems to be all parts included at this point in the race, but it was a body slam. Albert Costa making sure when he went into turn 8 that he was going to come out in 3rd place. Nearly did it at the first corner, did it halfway around the lap, but look, nose to tail action, and place is about to change down in the middle order. The second of the Sansalot racing car is making a dive, car number 26. And that's Simon Gachet, leading runner in the silver class. Look how busy it is for Eddie Cheever. Cars left, right and centre around him. That's what it's like at Misano in the middle order.
Yeah, it's the worst part of the racetrack, worst part of the field to be right in the middle. These are the sort of fifth row down towards the tail of the field. No difference in terms of performance. You can see Cheever being really sort of muscled out of turning into the apex of turn 6 by the sister Ferrari. But look down the inside. Matteo Drudi trying to take that position away. Almost a mirror of what happened last night when Dries van Thor did that on Pancinici in the Bentley. So almost getting caught out by almost a mirror of what occurred. Well, that's the car that was involved last night, the Bentley, and Dries van Thor. Now Drudi all over the back of Dries van Thor. Really, this is going to be interesting coming down into turns 13 and 14. Drudi goes one way, trying to force the issue on the outside. Can he get ahead? It's going to be two Audis in the bank or in the ditch or wherever, and they've managed to get through clear. I can't believe it. But look up the inside of it, he's got contact ultimately. Now that's going to get looked at because there was clearly Drudi had two wheels on the inside. He would say I was taking avoiding action. Dries van Thor would say I was taking my line.
But look at the advantage
Pancinici, no! And now Dries van Thor has been biffed, or however you want to describe it. The Audi Christopher Haas comes round. The boys are out of control.
It's Sunday morning, no time on the Sabbath, but this is great racing, full of incident. Dries van Thor must feel as though he's got a target drawn in his front
track limits have been thrown out of the window.
And so Nelson Pancinici, a few seconds ago, he thought he was gaining positions. Now he's been shuffled right back down. This is so entertaining. Now let's take a look at some of the contact we saw a handful of laps ago. That's Matteo Drudi going up the inside, not once but twice, of Dries van Thor. The Bentley then gets monstered when we get up a few quarters later to turn 1, diving up the inside of Dries van Thor. Poor Dries, punch bag Van Thor today, push wide. He then cuts the corner. No profit gained to dive back into position. Fortunately, Benjamin Ites has had a big shot. Is that at turn 13? I can't quite see.
There's just so much dust. So that car, well and truly in the tire bales. There's a lot of heavy front end damage to the Mercedes. That's gone off pretty quickly. Don't have that up. So there's a contact from the Lexus behind. Yes, it was.
Well, that's very unfortunate. The Lexus recovering, having started from the pits in the hands of Thomas Neubauer. And for the second race running, it's unfortunately not a nice welcome to Europe for this Chilean. He got hit yesterday and spun round. He got hit today and spun round. Today was a much bigger impact, and good to see him walking freely, unencumbered. But that was very unfortunate there for Benjamin Ites.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on any further investigations. We know the safety car is in at the end of this lap. You can see the message from race control large on the screen.
The safety car will pull away. Raffaele Marciello will slow the field down, as he is doing now at turn 14. When he comes out of 14, he might decide to go, or he might wait until he gets through turn 15. Playing cat and mouse. He's gone. He's off and running.
Slow it down, bang, off he goes. Great move there from Raffaele Marciello. Very tricky for anyone to make a move down into turn 1. You'd need a monster exit out of the final corner. Staying very sensible, all of them, trying to get whatever little toe they can, but Marciello's safe in the lead. He's got about a 3 car length advantage. The Lamborghini having a little look to turn 1 and then tucking in behind Kelvin Van Der Linde. Everyone else playing line astern, not taking the big moves. I expected something from Matteo Drudi. He might be waiting until we get onto the approach of turn number 8. The Italian really likes to attack, and Mauro Engel in that orange Mercedes is his target, that is for sure. Drive-through penalty for car 15 for causing a collision. We saw the collision. That was poor old Benjamin Ites being taken for a spin. So for the car that could have won yesterday, came to a halt. It's not going to win today. He's got a drive-through penalty. Aurélien Panis, the guilty party.
Kelvin Van Der Linde. And then they're all diving into the pit lane because the pit lane now is open. So that is the beginning of what will be a very busy pit lane for the leading group of cars. They're all staying on track.
That's true. He was the highest place of the cars that came into the pits was the HRT Mercedes. But the first three, Marciello, Van Der Linde and Albert Costa, continued on their way. It does mean the pit lane will be empty when they come round to it, whenever they so choose to do so. It doesn't have to be next time around.
So there's the drive-through, I think.
Correct.
That's the
Aurélien Panis. That is not a regular pit stop.
So they've got to then come back in again and do their driver change. So they're effectively out of it. Bentley, Jules Gounon, good stop from the Bentley team, just trying, almost managed to get alongside the Audi as they enter this very narrow, and it's a contentious pit lane exit here.
So into the pit lane comes the race leader. Albert Costa continues around. He is the new leader for the ML Fry team because Raffaele Marciello has decided he's going to give a go to his teammate, his Russian teammate, Timo Bogoslawski. Eddie Cheever the third is also in. Chris Froggatt will take over the car that's leading the Pro-Am class. Well, we've got the order fairly much as it was before.
Where is this? What is going on? Second place Audi, way off the racetrack. Tamida-san, you needed a passport to come back in when you're that far off. The gap between first and second has reduced on that last lap. So they, having had that fundamental error going way off track, Tamida-san has clawed back. He lost effectively a second in the bit. It was up to 2.5 seconds. Now the gap is down to 2 seconds.
And now Rouget saw an opportunity. The Lamborghini ran a little bit wide. He closed up to the tail remarkably quickly. Yeah, Bogoslawski still hasn't got the body language of someone who's defending his position. He's still holding his line, but another tenth or two gained by the chasing Tomita will force him to take a different line, and that has been gained. It's right down to half a car length, and a far better exit from 14. I blow you, you blow me, and a little bit of bodywork rubbing, but always the Mercedes driver held the upper hand there. He had the right position.
Look, again, closes right up into turn 13, into 14. I mean, has to pull over. Oh, and hits the back of the Mercedes. And that's because Bogoslawski slowed down more than Tamida-san reckoned was going to happen. Now, again, trying to go round the long way around the outside. This time, thinks the wiser of it. But Mercedes slowed down a lot in turn 14. Caught Tamida-san off guard, and that puts Lukas Stolz back in this race. Very much a challenger now to take the victory.
Do you look forward? Do you look back into turn one? It's still the Mercedes front. Is there a bit more rubbing there? Not quite. Tamida-san very close indeed. Lukas Stolz in third place. In turn being pushed by Charles Wirtz, who's got Arthur Rouget almost propelling him round the corner at turn 2.
So Stolz goes the long way around, takes the wide way into turn 4. Up the
Rouget
inside.
up the inside for fourth, up the inside of Charles Wirtz.
Good move. Caught Charles Wirtz totally unawares. There was a car width gap, and Rouget didn't need to be invited twice. Here we go back again, the first 3 cars. Lukas Stolz says, oh, the Audi's gone way off. What happened there? Just suddenly the car turning left and then turned sharp, right? It was as if something, and then the back end snapped into oversteer. Don't know what it was, but wow, did it ever go quickly.
I'm just starting to think that Lukas Stolz has got enough in his kit bag to hold on to that second place, but not enough to be able to get close enough to ASP's race leader, Timo Bogoslawski, the young Russian, who I did fear for him staying in the lead of the race. I thought he'd be caught, but he got caught, but they're not close enough to make a move.
On board with the leading Mercedes-Benz, Timo Bogoslawski has done everything to date without the commentator's curse. It's going to be victory for the Russian and the Italian.
It might even do that oddest of things, bring a smile to the face of the incredibly laconic Raffaele Marciello. He'll be delighted with that. The car started down in the bottom half of the middle order yesterday, but today it started in pole, and it has come through to victory. A Mercedes 1-2 with Lukas Stolz in second place. Arthur Rouget, well, he's laid down a marker. And in fact, he got to the finish just ahead of last year's young star, Charles Wirtz. But Charles Wirtz took a victory last night. But for Rouget, he's really put his name on the map in third place. There is Bogoslawski's name at the top of the chart. Raffaele Marciello, his teammate, started from pole, but Timo Bogoslawski took it over in the lead and kept it there. Good job. 0.3 of a second clear of Maro Engel and Lukas Stolz, a rock-solid Mercedes lineup. So big credit there for Timo Bogoslawski. Arthur Rouget built on the work of Christopher Haas and then added his own mix. Came through to third place, top Audi finisher, just ahead of Charles Wirtz, who took victory last night with Dries Van Tor. So the all-Belgian pairing still piling the points in. But let's go down, and the man who brought the car to the checkered flag first, Timo Bogoslawski, down in the paddock with Gemma.
Timo, a fantastic drive, very defensive in the end. You know, you had a lot of pressure behind you.
Yeah, it was tough. At the beginning, it was my pace was okay because I have the new tires. But at the end of my next part of the race, it was tough because I defend a lot from the Audi. We have the contact at the back, and yeah, when the Audi changed the position with the Mercedes, after I don't have any pressure, and I just need to finish it in the race. So I'm really happy he won in my first round. It's really nice.
Fantastic result. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
12,500 euros. He's let them have that for the photo, but he'll be taking that back to the transporter. So for ACA ASP, we'll have the national anthem, the Marseillaise. So, two fantastic races so far this weekend, and we're treating you with a hat-trick, the third race for the first time at a sprint round of the GT World Challenge Europe. And conditions absolutely fine, hot, humid day, not much of a breeze, unfortunately. But Watty, what can we expect from the hour of racing that lies ahead? It starts in 15 minutes from now. As you can see, track temperature is still going to be an issue for all these drivers. Look, over 40 degrees, the heat haze shimmering. But the pressure down on the grid. It's been an enthralling meeting so far. What can this third race bring?
Primarily, it's going to be about heat, and more heat, and really managing the best of the sets of tyres you have remaining from the beginning of this weekend. Again, we've got a grid based on the 3 separate qualifying sessions that we've had over 2 days. And on the front row of the grid, the car that dominated the proceedings on the first race, the Lexus, which didn't go to win, but that and the attempt to racing Audi, they're locking out the front row of the grid. And those that we thought might be further forward, I mean, the Bentley, for example, Jules Gounon back on the 4th row of the grid. Where is the 88 Mercedes with its back on the 3rd row of the grid, the car that won race 2?
Again, this constant stirring of the pot, it leads to such an interesting thing. We've just seen the track map, 16 turns packed into 4.226 kilometres, John. Very, very hard to make an overtaking manoeuvre that sticks, but there are plenty of points on the circuit where the drivers have been trying in through the first 2 races.
Yeah, I mean, turn 1, you can more or less forget it. Up into turn 4, we've seen some very audacious moves. Again, into turn 8, if you get down the inside, get alongside, and then that's really about it.
Well, let's see. The best place to start is from pole position. And the Tech 1 Racing Lexus hasn't won yet. We're going to hear from Aurélien Panis. Maybe now is the moment.
Aurélien, it's been a difficult weekend for you guys, slightly challenging in so many different ways, but certainly the car has had pace, proven that from the fact that you're down here on pole.
Yeah, for sure. The 2 first race was a bit unlucky, but we have a really good car, a really good team. They work a lot during all the night to fix the engine, so now Thomas did an amazing job in quali. We are again in pole position for this last race, so we will try to do a clean race and to score good points. It will be important for us.
Well, the team is certainly very strong when it comes to strategy, that's for sure.
Yeah, we don't really know. We will see how the start will start. But Thomas has a really, really good pace, so I'm not afraid about that. So we will see how it will be after the first lap.
Okay, well, have a great race. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Bye-bye.
Must be said, John, we had victory in the first race to the Audis, victory for Mercedes in the second race, but looking at the pace and the aplomb and the style with which Thomas Neubauer has driven this Lexus, it's very, very promising. But just as the driver change happened last time, suddenly and in the first race, and it pulled to a halt.
Yes, and of course then they had an overnight engine change, which meant they had to start from the pit lane for race 2 earlier today. But what is abundantly clear is the raw pace that the Tech 1 Racing Lexus has got is undeniable. And in fact, in race 1 last night, we saw the Lexus and the Bentley, Jules Gounon in the 107 Bentley driving the wheels off that car. And once they got in a straight line, the extra poke that the Lexus had just kept drawing it away. And as I mentioned, there's 2 probable realistic overtaking parts on the racetrack. You can look elsewhere, but on those 2 critical parts of the circuit into turn 4 and then into turn 8, every time Gounon got on the tail of the Lexus, by the time they got down to the overtaking area, they were too far out of reach for Gounon to do anything about it.
Well, it was cat and mouse, nip and tuck, but it was still prevailing. But great to see some new names at the front of the grid. Thomas Neubauer on pole, Tommaso Mosca alongside Artur Rougier, 3 newcomers. Neubauer was here last season, but look at the graphic. This is the GT World Challenge, fought around the world by 3 marks. Ferrari, Mercedes and Lamborghini, with the points tally having just been readjusted because there was a race at Sonoma in California at the start of this weekend. So when we last looked, it was Lamborghini bringing up the rear of the 3, hoping to gather points. The car's quite near the front of the grid this afternoon, but let's take a look at the tally. And it's still Mercedes leading from Ferrari, and the raging bull of Lamborghini needs to get a move on. They're down in 3rd place, but all season long it will last.
Well, there is one of the ACA, Boguslavski and Raffaele Marcello, Raffaele Marcello, get it one way around or the other. I mean, a very, very strong partnership, and we saw that in race 2, where Marcello had the benefit of getting clear from the minute the lights went out. Then we had a safety car intervention. Boguslawski then got in. Then he had a safety car intervention likewise. But I think his strength is when he's in clear air and he's not having to battle with people, almost sniping at every corner he comes to. He controlled that lead extremely well. He was being caught time and again by different cars coming through the field. But the key is he took checkered flag, and that's a massive confidence boost for him personally. Marcello doesn't need any confidence boost. He's got it coming out of his pores.
Certainly has, but that's starting 7th today, so could work its way forward. And certainly Timo Boguslawski would have gained enormous experience and pleasure there. But let's go down and hear some Ferrari words. We're with Andrea Bertolini with AF Corsa.
Andrea, we're on the 8th row of the grid here, but that's the first position for the Pro-Am qualification. You've already shown that you guys are quick this weekend. You had a great race too. How are you looking ahead to race 3?
Yeah, it will be tough like every race, but yeah, we work quite well on the car. Louis is really in a good shape. He did the pole this morning, and so we are happy. We are here in Italy. We are back on track, and so we hope really to score important points, especially for the championship.
Like a Ferrari, Italian car, Italian driver, Italian circuit, that's got to be the ultimate for you.
Yeah, it's a dream, It's a long time I drive for Ferrari, but every time is always a special emotion.
Absolutely. Looking ahead to the grid there, we've seen the first corner seems to be very packed going into that right-hander.
Yeah, he's here in Misano. The action is good because, all the time, also this morning, we had a good start. So, but the race here in Misano is really, I told you at the beginning, is really tough, and we will try to do our best.
Have a great race. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hey, guys.
Andrea Bertolini, next closest thing to 2 decades as Ferrari test driver.
I mean, to have Andrea Bertolini as your co-driver, I mean, there's nobody knows his way around the Ferrari better than Andrea does. And the key for their car and their particular championship is to make the car as compliant for, let's say, that the other part of the partnership. Andrea is a fully professional driver, knows inside out what motor racing is all about. So his knowledge and experience can help build the partnership. And a part of that is not making a racing car that is, in ultimate terms, the quickest it can be. It's to make it comfortable over the duration. And you don't want a knife-edge car, which you might be able to manage as the professional, the experienced driver, and then you put your lesser experienced driver or of a lower grading into the car, and he's frightened. You're afraid. You don't want to be afraid.
Well, good news. Track temperatures dropped by 1.6 degrees in the last few minutes. Every degree that comes off will help the cars and help the drivers. So the race about to start at 3 o'clock local time, and it's the clock is ticking around. These cars will soon be heading off on their formation lap. In about 5 or 6 minutes, the grid will be given the signal for all personnel to leave. And just to refresh, it's a Tech 1 Lexus, the only Lexus in the field. It's on pole position for the second time in 3 races here at Misano. Both times Thomas Neubauer has put it at the front of the field. Newcomer alongside him, looking there at the 2 Lamborghinis that are side by side. They're on row number 3. But just to complete the front row of the grid, we've got the one of the 2 Attempto Racing Audis, Tommaso Mosca, who's really been impressed. He's raced the last couple of seasons in the Italian Porsche Carrera Cup, but he's stepped up to GT3 and has really laid down a marker. And his teammate, the flying Mattia Drudi, so they have got to be a very good shot for victory.
Well, I don't know whether it's the changing of the old guard or not, but for some reason, 2020, we've seen a number of young drivers coming through, and certainly maybe more because this is the first round of the sprint events as opposed to what Imola was, which was an endurance event where you've got 3 drivers per car. So you're seeing these youngsters, I call them youngsters, they're 20 and 19, whatever, and they just had a long, they've been in motorsport through karting and junior formulas, so that they might be young in age, but they're very seasoned in terms of experience.
Well, let's see what Tommaso Mosca can do. He'll do the first half of the race, then hand over to Mattia Drudi. The second row, Sansalot Racing. Arthur Rougier really impressed us with 3rd place overall in the second of the 2 races here at Misano. This is the 3rd. He's starting on the inside of the second row alongside Charles Weerts, who's, again, not yet 20, but seems to know these GT3 Audis so well. So 3 Audis in the top 4, but it's a Lexus at the front. Can the first Lexus win come this afternoon? But the grid is set, the formation lap about to start. Let's enjoy the scene. Off we go around the circuit. The Lexus leads us around, and certainly there's been plenty of promise. A problem for car 18 at the back of the field. That's the ERC Sport. Lee Mole sitting on board. Phil Keane looking in the pit lane, but a mechanic still on the grid. So there is a problem there for the British driver and his car. Hopefully that can be fired up and got away, or certainly got out of the way, because the field is coming around for the start at the top of the hour. A glitch, possibly tiny, but let's hope that's fixed. That will drop it to the tail of the field. They may get a penalty for the mechanic being there.
The difficulty is where the car is in the grid. They're beyond the pit lane entrance, and they're way short of the pit lane exit. So where they would place that car, if it has to be pushed off the grid, I'm not entirely sure. But as the field is coming, as midway round a lap, one thing that I expect to see is that the grunt that the Lexus has got, it's a V6 twin turbo, over the three Audis that are alongside and directly behind. I would assume that Neubach would be able, using that power, that torque off turn 16, to gain an advantage down into turn 1. But there's the Mercedes-Benz. Now that car, is there a gap in the... There should normally be a gap somewhere in the pit lane to allow cars that have failed on the grid to be pushed to safety. Well, or are we going to have to see yet another formation lap?
We may well have to do so, because also a big problem is that you come around the final corner and the grid is, you're almost upon it. Once you come around turn 16, there's a blind entry onto that left-hander. I think there's a gap behind where the car was, but you don't want to be pushing a car in the opposite direction. It's certainly, the pit entry is before that final corner, but as you point out, is there a gate halfway up?
They've got it going. It's running, but where's it going to go? I mean, it's 3/4 of a lap behind the field, and there, in fact, there's the medical car at the very end of the chain of cars as they are now slowly going to make their way.
Well, they're going down the back straight. They're coming up towards turn 11, running at a sort of pace, whereas Lee Mole is probably only now going through turn 2, turn 3. But what was the problem for the ERC Sport car?
I suspect it was the usual thing, that something in the electronics had done what it's not meant to do. They had to probably do a complete reset of the onboard computers. They got it fired up. I mean, the car looks as if it's running perfectly normally as it's making its way around. He'll be probably lucky to get to turn 8 by this point. This is now coming down towards the end of the back straight into turns 13, 14 is the next right-hander we're coming up to.
Now, do we fancy the chances of the Lamborghini sharing the second row? Giacomo Altoe and teammate Micol Grenier. Now, is that a problem for the Sky Tempesta racing car?
It's dropped back as well.
And then it's getting going again. So that's Chris Froggatt on board. That should be starting second in the Pro-Am class behind Louis Michiels, immediately behind him on the grid. But we don't have much time to pay attention to that, because the front-running cars are coming up towards turn 15.
Are we going to see the safety car staying out for one more lap, or is it pulling off? It has pulled off.
Okay, the start is upon us. The Lexus on the outside, the front row, Thomas Neubauer. Young Tommaso Mosca stepping up to GT racing this season, impressed so far, and he's on the front row. How much more competition does he want around him? The press of the lights have gone to green. Very tiny start indeed. The Bentley already trying to make a charge from the fourth row, being edged out, but the pole starter, Thomas Neubauer, who's got young Arthur Rougier tucking in behind. But second place in the hands of Tommaso Mosca, that famous sweep around the outside at turn 1 and gets across the track to hold down second position. A bit of bodywork when flying. A front splitter down at turn number 2, but it's tidy at the front, and the Lamborghini's trying to gain position, almost knocking each other out of the way. The ERs and the HRT Mercedes making a brilliant start for Lucas Stoltz. He's gained about 3 places. That's the orange car with the black wings.
Neubauer used and consolidated the benefit of being on pole position, but challenged all the way through those opening corners by Tommaso Mosca in the Audi. Look at the Bentley making its way up through as well.
Yeah, but that was on the grass before they got to turn 7. The track kinks on that infield straight, and the Lamborghinis weren't letting him pass, and certainly Jules Gounon kind of trying to pick up position. Great view back to Lucas Stoltz, who made that great start. He's tucked in. We're looking back from the Bentley, trying to go up the inside of the Bentley now.
Nowhere for Gounon to go. He's been forced out onto the outside of the circuit. That's the dirty part of the racetrack, side by side now with the number 4 Mercedes. So, Lucas Stoltz, side by side. Jules Gounon just gets an edge, gets the nose in front, coming down into turn 13, slams the door on the Mercedes. So he's consolidated that position, but 2 Lamborghinis directly ahead. And you can see what's happened. Gounon's just been backed up by the 2 Lamborghinis. His pace has been checked.
It's busy out there, John, isn't it, at the end of the opening lap, but not too busy for Thomas Neubauer. That great start. Tommaso Mosca managed to stick in second place. Arthur Rougier staying in third. Very, very close indeed. But already you can see the Lexus starting to stretch its legs. Tommaso Mosca hanging on to second place. Rougier's just lost a position. He's back in fourth. As Charles Vitz goes third. Oh, there's going to be contact surely. The Bentley and the second of the Lamborghinis. No, that's the first. That's Alto's Lamborghini.
And there's the Bentley. It got involved. There was contact. I didn't know whether there was damage to the left front of the Bentley. It looked to me as if maybe that left front wheel, something had happened in that contact with the Lamborghini. It was an audacious move down the inside to try and take a position away, and it didn't really pay off because the Bentley is, I'm not quite sure, well, it's still ahead of the Lucas Stoll, so nothing. Well, everything ventured, but nothing gained.
Well, one person who probably ventured and certainly gained nothing has lost things is Timo Bogoslawski, winner this morning, but his car started 7th, and the Mercedes is now back in the middle of your picture, down in 11th place overall. So Raffaele Marcello, who's hoping to take that over nearer the front of the field, unfortunately, it's going to have to be a lot of work from the Russian to get back up. Looking one way, looking the other, trying to go past is that. Let's just have a little look. He's tucked in behind the number 10. He's in. It's Tomita, the driver who was so spectacular in the early race, had 2 glitches where he ran wide off the circuit, but the pace is right there.
Look, Bogoslawski trying to come out behind the slipstream from the Audi, and he's got the second to the 2 Bentleys. Look, it's coming now to go down, take the long way around into turn 13, has to pull in now, decides to come up the inside. Well, there's almost, not quite another same thing. There is or there isn't contact. There wasn't contact, but there wasn't much between.
No, could have gone either way, John, that's for sure. So let's see, the end of the opening lap, 1.1 second was the advantage of the race leader, Thomas Neubauer, over Mosca. Looks though it's grown. 1.5, he's putting the gauntlet down. Charles Wirtz starting to pick up the pace in third place, but still a number of real quality drivers way down the grid relative to where they would expect to be. But it's a 2-driver race. Their chance will be coming later on.
Basically, it's just like a restart of a race. If you can make ground on that opening lap and everything's on the slightly cooler side, then that's the best opportunity you're going to get. Once everybody gets up to what I would describe as their normal race pace, racing speed, and everything becomes more stabilized, then the possibilities become fewer. And you can see already the gap between first and second. Well, it's over 1.5 seconds, and probably a bit further now as we go midway round. We're on lap 4. So Rougier in 4th place, trying to run down Charles Wirtz, and the Audi 3rd, and then you got Mosca in 2nd place. Those 3 Audis all covered by a relatively small amount of time. And in the meantime, there's the Lexus just piling on the horsepower and stretching its legs.
Really doing a fantastic job, Thomas Neubauer. Looking Charles Wirtz's pace, he's looking very strong in 3rd place. Yes, he's just started to get a little bit closer. He passed the yellow wing car of Arthur Rougier. He's setting off after the leading Audi. Again, you said this morning, it's great to have 3 Audis up at the front, but the fact there are 3 different teams entering, and Matento Racing leading that battle in 2nd place, Belgian Audi Club Team WRT in 3rd, and Santalot. It's great to see them so equal and really duking it out.
Well, I think that's the great strength of GT3 racing, is these are all essentially what I call turnkey customer cars from the manufacturers, not run directly by manufacturers, but run by satellite operations. And the fact there's 3 Audi teams can actually run so competitively.
Well, what they couldn't do at the start of the race, seeing the replay there, is get ahead. It was quite a long hold, but Thomas Neubauer had the hammer down, got that Tech 1 Racing Lexus into the lead. You can see Arthur Rougier jumping around behind, trying to gain a position. But Mosca just had it covered off. A little bit of body contact a little bit further down the order. Let's ride with the Lamborghini. Giacomo Altoe. It suddenly opens up on the inside, but everyone knows that the cars will come across your nose into that first turn. You really need to be around the outside of the corner. Yes, it was Rougier getting a body rub off the tail of Mosca that set the bodywork.
The reason was Rougier was on the inside. There was a much tighter, much more acute entry into turn 1. Consequently, he tended to run a little bit too far into the middle of the racetrack. That's why there was that contact. In the meantime, back to this battle going on. It's been going on since this race got underway. And Jules Gugno all over the back of Giacomo Altoe in the Lamborghini. You can see closing, looking to find a way around. Again, he's been forced to go the long way around. Lamborghini not going to give up anything. And there's a little bit of movement on the back end of the straight. Don't really think that's appropriate, but it is a defence.
You know what really makes me smile, John? Not just that's close racing, it's the fact you look at the different shapes and sizes of these 2 cars competing with each other. The sleek, low Lamborghini Huracan, and then the much more meaty, visceral shape of the Bentley. And yeah, here they are side by side. Oh, Bronco.
Forced the error. He showed his nose up the inside into turn 16. And the reaction was Altoe just got it wrong. He ran wide and has given up 3 positions. as a consequence. Now that is what a racing driver is there to do. That is to outthink the competitor you're racing against.
Well, maybe Gounon just thought, well, you would maybe change your position. You picked it out down the back straight, made him a little bit cross, and Alto became Alto-tude over the curves. But 3 position slots, that really, really hurts. But for Tech 1 at the front of the race, it's 2.2 seconds to the good now. So bit by bit, Thomas Neubauer just putting clear. The Audis having this wonderful 3-car battle. Let's have a look at the replay. John, talk us through it. Through turn 15 they go.
Look, he's got himself up the inside, but not quite enough. But then Alto just runs too wide, runs over those sausage curbs. The back end of the Lamborghini kicks up in the air. He's got to get out of the throttle. And in the process, those that are on the racetrack, on full power, pass.
Exactly so. 3 places lost. That was quite a moment.
Look at that. Wow. There's a nice camera. That's got to be a camera shot of the year, I would have thought.
Absolutely. So it's always you roll the dice when you choose which car is going to carry which camera, which angle it will face, and that earned its keep this afternoon. That was super spectacular. Obviously, Giacomo Alto didn't really fancy having a ride like that, but the position was forced upon him as Gounon went up into 6th place overall. But don't forget, the first race yesterday, it was Gounon fighting for the lead with Thomas Neubauer. Neubauer is in the lead today, pulling clear and just banging in the fastest middle sector of anyone. And the gap's going out. It's 2.5 seconds precisely. He's putting on a masterclass.
Well, he's taking full advantage, full benefit of having pole position, but having a car that's got the performance to enable him. And of course, again, as we've seen from people that have led over the previous 2 events, he's in clear air. He can use whatever part of the racetrack he chooses. There's no interference. He's not being challenged from behind. And that's all a racing driver wants. I mean, it's fine to say, oh, I want to go out and have white knuckle to white knuckle racing. Yeah, as long as you're leading.
Yes, I'll leave it to all the colleagues on the circuit. And so the 3-car battle for 2nd place has got some distance of an advantage over Michael Grenier, who was the leading Lamborghini driver in 5th place overall. But he's an equivalent gap back to the gap from 1st through to the best of the Audis. The Audis are still led by Tommaso Mosca. Rougier bringing up the rear and Charles Wirtz in the middle. There have been flashes of speed from Wirtz that suggested he might be able to challenge Mosca, but Mosca is rising to the challenge, holding on to 2nd.
Is there a part of Mosca's rear bodywork just behind the rear guard? I thought I caught a glimpse of something that looked like there was a bit of bodywork missing, but maybe because that's black, painted black, it's sometimes difficult to identify the angle I was looking at.
I think you're 100% right, because bear in mind, when we saw the replay of the start, we saw contact between Rougier on the right-hand side of the track and Mosca on the left, which would tally, and Mosca stayed ahead.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
So Chris Froggatt, don't forget, that was the car that we thought was slowing on the start lap, but on the formation lap, but it's leading the Pro-Am class. It has gone ahead of Louis Machiels, ahead of the AF Corsa Ferrari. This is the Pro-Am class, leading the position in 16th overall. Louis Machiels is just half a second down, and in 3rd place in class, Valentin Pierberg in the better place, the 2 SPS Mercedes. He's another 2 seconds down.
So who, out of Eddie Cheever, the 3rd, or Andrea Bertolini, assuming that these are the 2 drivers in the respective 2 Ferraris?
They're the takeover drivers. They're going
to take over. So Cheever's going to take over from Froggatt, and Bertolini's going to take over from Michiels. Would you like to think one of those 2 pro drivers are more... Which of the 2? I'd have to go with Bertolini personally, but of course Cheever's the younger guy.
Cheever drove very well in that this morning's race, so I think he's probably feeling pretty confident. But as we know, when you're running further down the field, you can have your race a little bit interfered with if the front runners come around you. If it's a safety car, they're not going to get towards you. You can see the front left corner of Rougier's car is bearing scars of some sort of battle, and that was between turns 1 and 2.
I know it's only talking about fractions and minor, tiny, but on that first sector, the Audi in 2nd place, Tomasino, fastest overall, purple, but then that was countered by Neubauer in the lead car, fastest overall, 2nd sector. So these 2 are really pushing to the limits, as is certainly Gounon coming into turn 14.
Well, he's had a battle with one Lamborghini, and he won that, and he's now right on the tail of Michael Grenier. This is the battle for 5th place. Gounon has the pace, but he needs the position, and at the moment that Lamborghini, so much smaller appearing, is sitting in front of him. Out of the turn 16, who's got the pull? It's the Lamborghini that is not pulling away.
And he's going to try down the inside. He's having a look, but wasn't quite near enough, close enough to take that ground away from the Lamborghini. And having tried it once with the sister car to this one, and coming off no better than he was going into the corner. Now up into turn 4, almost again, but just had to come out of the brakes that bit earlier than the Lamborghini because he had to slow down that much sooner. So pressure indeed. Emil Frey entered Lamborghinis have seen a lot of attention from the 107 Bentley here this afternoon.
Certainly have. Little versus large, that's the view you get when you can look over the roof of the Lamborghini. So easy to see the Bentley, and that was a move that has been coming for a while, but didn't get the braking done. Haha, GT spectacle.
The move was perfect. The execution and the outcome didn't work, just couldn't slow the car down enough. But I mean, there was a beautiful, I mean, the inside of the corner was opened up. Oh, there we go. Hello, neighbour. I want to do it again just to remind you I am your neighbour.
Fierce action out on the track. You can be sure this battle will be rejoined. Gugnon's not the sort of driver to go, that was my best attempt, I'm coming back at you, I've picked off your teammate, I'm going to pick you off. Didn't quite work at turn 8. I might try it at the very same corner next time around, because look how the Bentley gets right on the tail, regains the ground that was lost, but the person who's gaining ground all the time, about to sweep through to start lap number 9. He was 2.5 seconds clear, untroubled. Thomas Neubauer leading for the Tech 1 racing team in the only Lexus RCF in the race, but the car that's pulling ever further clear. The advantage goes out, is it? Well, whisker under 3 seconds the good. Super impressive laps from Neubauer.
Yeah, and that lap was just under half a second quicker than the following 3 Audis. So Neubauer, whether he's just finding his rhythm or whether the Audis following are now beginning to suffer from the heat. It's all about 3 cars running in close company with one another. It has an interference with the overall heating of the car. You're using your tires maybe in a slightly different way to how you would like to, and just the aerodynamics come into it as well.
Well, Neubauer was Silver Cup class champion last year, but the 9th in the overall championship, driving for an ACA ASP Mercedes. But today he's leading the race outright. We could have a silver car winning the race, but the pressure is going to start to pile on his teammate Aurélien Pani. He's waiting to see Aurélien take the car over, but with every lap he's been given a little bit more of a cushion, because Neubauer is going very, very well. But don't forget, this is a car that failed 24 hours ago and needed remedial attention overnight.
Bruce, I think we could be seeing a bit of action coming up shortly for 3rd place, because Rouget is closed up a little bit more than he did in the previous lap on Charles Verts in the 3rd place. There are the 3rd and 4th place Audis, the WRT Audi of Charles Verts, the Santa Lock Racing Audi for Arthur Rouget.
Well, Verts took victory in the evening race yesterday, sharing with Dries Van Toor. They could yet do it again today. It's all, as we keep saying, John, about the overall balance of the pairings, and certainly that WRT Audi is close to the front, and certainly in Van Toor's case it will be just as quick, and so that may yet be enough. But look, this battle behind, the Lamborghini still holding 5th place, Michael Grenier, but Jules Gounon all over his tail. You'd always put a camera in this car, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. Gounon for sure is a very exciting young prospect, young driver. He's been around now for 3 seasons, and he's gaining just experience as each race goes by. I mean, clearly, in my opinion, he's got the capacity to lap more quickly than the Lamborghini, but what he hasn't got is the car that's going to give him the speed to get past, and he's having to work really, really hard. So he's working himself hard, he's working his car hard, and look at the way the Lamborghini just stretches away coming down into turn 8.
Yeah, Jules seemed a little unsettled when he rattled over the curbs. They both went over the inside curbing at turn 6, and he had to let his car settle before he put the power down. But let's just take a look. Follow the race around, John. You're riding with Jules Gounon.
Okay, 9 into turn 10. You make your apex at 10. Turn 9 is really just a line up for turn 10. Then you want to not run too wide on the curb on the exit of turn 10 to get the maximum benefit of the drive down this dogleg straight through turn 11, which is just a flat-out curve. But again, you can see what's happened. The Lamborghini's got the speed where it counts into turn 13. There we are to 13 now. And then he slows down. This is where Gounon closes right up onto the back of the Lamborghini. But then once in the acceleration out into turn, coming up into 15, there's nothing between the 2 cars. Then the short sprint, back on the brakes, down a gear into turn 16. Again, Gounon does all the hard yards to get up behind the Lamborghini. And unfortunately then, once you're on this pit straight 600 metres or so, just you can see the Lamborghini edging further away.
But this is the point of a racing driver's art. Can I maximise where I'm strong at certain points on the circuit? Certainly he always gets a very good run out of turn 3. Not close enough this time. In fact, he's about a car length further back. Normally he's been close enough to challenge. But he's got to get a move on, because Lucas Stoltz and the HRT Mercedes is getting onto his tail. You can see that orange flash.
If we were focusing very much on what the 107 Bentley with the onboard camera, what we weren't looking was in the mirror of the 107 to see the bright orange HRT Mercedes of Lucas Stoltz, which is just hovering around waiting for something to happen. I mean, if you can't overtake, then maybe wait for other drivers to give you the opportunity. Maybe a little error comes in.
Yeah, it could come at any moment. Thomas Neubauer, actually, the last few laps have been very, very even. Tommaso Mosca, who's managed to shake off Charles Weerts, as you pointed out. Weerts in third place is having to look more in his mirrors. But Arterucci, it stayed at 2.5 seconds. So it went out to that relatively easily for Tech 1 Racing. Let's hope all is okay with their Lexus, because it failed to go the distance last night. Pulled off at the side of the circuit. Could have been a famous first win for Tech 1 Racing, Simon Abadi's team. But may have to wait till today. May not happen today, but certainly that Lexus is looking really, really handy, as is Jules Gounon. Director, find Jules Gounon. There he is.
I mean, it's just entertainment, whichever way you look at it. I mean, the Bentley is hop, skipping and jumping from here to there, over curves, down one, up on the other. Closer now, this time behind the Lamborghini, yet again coming down into turn one. Looks, throws the nose into the mirror of the Lamborghini, trying to distract, take away maybe some of the confidence that the Lamborghini requires. Now into turn three, you can run out wide here in the exit, as both cars do. Watch down the inside, but just not enough drive off turn three to give them the opportunity to slip up the inside into turn four.
Time and time again, Michael Grenier knows he can't take the line he wants to take, because he's just got to close any potential gap to stop the Bentley coming through. And I think that's why, particularly, that Lukas Stoltz is able to close in on them. He's about a second back, not close enough to make a move, but all along, Gounon is going to be getting more and more frustrated, trying to force himself to stay calm, to look for half a moment. Turn 9, it's not coming this time at turn 9. They get through the second half of 9, double apex, then they go to turn 10. But go too wild on the way through turn 10, you'll regret it the whole way down the straight if you can't get the power down. Now he's trying to get the drag.
Yeah, Michael Grenier's got the Lamborghini. He knows he's got the speed where it counts. Now looking up the inside into turn 12. Wow. And that was close, and he's got it done. Well done. Jules Gounon persisted, and he finally has broken through and got the place from the Lamborghini up into 5th place. And that's why you don't give up as a racing driver.
Exactly. Diligence, application, but expertise as well, it must be said. So Gounon moves up to 5th place for Bentley, working his way back up towards the front. In the first part of yesterday's evening race, he was fighting for the race lead with the car that's leading this afternoon's race, the Tech 1 Racing Lexus. So he'll be pleased he's made the move, but frustrated the Audis are up the road from him, and all he can do now is try and gain as much as he can before we get to the pit stops.
Yeah, that's 25 minutes away. So the gap between first and second is
coming down.
It has come down by 0.2 of a second. So Tommaso Mosca has done good work. He's been running in relatively clean air himself.
And he's just banged in the fastest first sector of anyone. He's gained almost 0.3 of a second in the first sector alone. That only gets you round as far as the just out of turn 6.
And in fact, I'm just looking at Charles Weerts, likewise has managed to stretch a little bit more of a gap over Arterucci, who had closed down the gap between 4th and 3rd place. Now Weerts has managed to stretch that up, and he's going to try to catch up to the tail of the 2nd place Attempto Racing Audi of Tommaso Mosca.
Yeah, Tommaso fastest through the first part of the lap, lost a little bit of ground, in fact, to the car in front and both the cars behind. So his second of the 3 sectors, not so good for the car in 2nd place. Still very, very competitive, but we're dealing in not even tenths, we're dealing in hundredths of a second separating these cars in terms of their pace around the circuit. But that early advantage built up, having started from pole position by Thomas Neubauer, is looking more and more comfortable for the team. But it's only 2.5 seconds, and certainly Aurélien Panis, who will take it over, will want more of an advantage when he gets his hands on the car.
And again, as we saw in race 2, one would assume that the drivers in these lead cars are going to stay out to the virtual end of the pit stop window. So we've got another 4 and a bit minutes before the pit lane opens there. You've got a 10-minute window. So I wouldn't expect to see any of these lead group of cars come in until probably the back end of the pit stop window.
The first car that will come in surely will be Timo Bogoslawski, 11th overall. He'll hand over to his quicker teammate. No disgrace of being told you're not as fast as Raffaele Marciello. Started 7th, hoped to go forward. Unfortunately, has lost 4 positions, so he'll change as soon as he possibly can in 4 minutes' time.
I agree totally. And losing those positions, you're never, in realistic terms, likely to gain them back easily, if at all. So the smart deal is to come in early, maybe get out of sync with everybody else that's around you in the pit lane, and put in your star driver and then give him the opportunity. And just all he can do is just go out and drive the wheels off the Mercedes, which he will always do anyway.
Exactly so. So the gap between first and second is down to 2.2 seconds now. So Tommaso Mosca closing in and certainly not managing to drop Charles Weerts. Charles running car number 32, riding on board the sister car, one of the sister cars from WRT. This is car 31 at the moment, down in 9th place, driven by the spectacular Riichiro Tomita, who has come and really impressed at Misano. A couple of over flamboyant moments, it must be said, but he is not scared of joining battle at all.
Absolutely not. And you know, the level of confidence he displayed in race 2 was very impressive. Just one little error coming out of turn 16, and that then knocked him back about 3 positions. And we see, who was that?
That was Louis Michiels exploring parts that other beers cannot reach around the final corner, turn 16.
I'll tell you what, that's blown my prediction that this car might be the winner in the Pro-Am category, because that's going to mean any good work that's going to be done by Andrea Bertolini is going to have to be stellar in its performance.
Yeah, the Tempesta car was already leading the class. Chris Froggatt at the wheel, but that certainly built his advantage. Let's take a look. Well, there's one of the Awega brothers on an away day, coming back to the circuit out of turn 13 as it reaches turn 14. So gravel everywhere, but luckily actually quite a long way round the corner.
Yeah, and fortunately it hasn't appears not to have dragged too much gravel back onto the circuit as we watch Arthur Rouget down in turn 8, and the gap between 3rd and 4th has seesawed a little, but you're talking about half a second here or there at maximum. So Arthur Rouget can see his task ahead, getting ever so slightly further away from him, which is the last thing a racer driver wants. When you see the gap to the car ahead of you closing, that gives you a little bit more motivation, a little bit more, you know, push. Now the Bentley, having cleared the Emile Frey Racing Lamborghini, running in clear air. Lucas Stolz, he's now got the problem of finding a way past the very quick in a straight line Lamborghini.
Yeah, the Guignon Bentley got 2 and a bit seconds, only 2.5 seconds clear of the battle we're looking at now. This is the battle for 6th place. Miko Grenier still holding position at the head of the train, but Lucas Stolz may actually be one that goes, you know what, I'm going to come in early as possible and get Maro Engel into the car, because it's going to take an awful lot to get past the car in front of me.
Tech One Racing Team to get that Lexus in, get it stopped, get the driver change executed. That's all done very quickly these days. Drivers practice it non-stop. So it's a question of who's going to be the quickest. Is it going to be WRT, or is it going to be the Lexus team? You know how good WRT, and that's Lamborghini. So there is the work going on the Lexus. They came in just ahead. So now I get the car, the left side tires fitted. There is Rouget. Has he taken the lead of the race?
Well, that should be.
He's done his pit stop. He's done his pit stop.
Done his pit stop. That should be Christopher Haas.
Yeah, well, there's the Lexus is rolling. Where is the Audi? So the Lexus is rolling, coming down the. Is it in the actual pit lane exit yet or not?
Yeah, just in the pit lane exit.
It's coming, and you can see it now. The orange. It's not going to come out ahead of the yellow and white Lamborghini of Audi. Or is it? They couldn't patch it.
Well, it's so hard to build because the cars have to get round turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3. But looks like the yellow-white Audi from Sansalot Racing is out into, I think that could be 2nd place. Just trying to gauge. Tommaso Mosca handed over to Matthias Trudy very early. Looks as though the HRT car has gained loads of ground there, because he was running in, correct me, 7th place, I think, before the diving into the pits, and the car that was leading, now in the hands of Aurelian Panis, is out behind it. So those that came in a lap earlier seem to get things very right indeed.
And Maro Engel, who's taken over the number 4 Mercedes, has already in that opening sector recorded the fastest single sector time. Jules Gougnot, having driven the wheels off the Bentley to get it up into position, now it makes its way down the pit lane, and it's interminably slow because it's 50 kilometers per hour, but that's the regulation for everybody.
Well, Van Der Linde, look out for him as well. He's listed as 12th, but let the order shuffle itself. That was just where his position was in the pit lane. He's already setting really quick times in the number 31 Audi. That was down in about 9th place before the pit stops in the hands of Tomita, but it's making progress.
So technically, one might say, is Dries van Voor leading the race, Christopher Haas 2nd, Matthias Trudy 3rd, Maro Engel 4th, Panis 5th, and then Kelvin Van Der Linde in 6th place, waiting for the top 3. The Bentley, I'm not sure which Bentley that is, showing on timing and scoring. We've seen the number 107 Bentley in, so the majority of the cars have now been in, made their pit stop.
Well, what I can gauge from that is number 32 is now leading the race in the hands of Dries van Tor, by my reckoning. So Team WRT getting it right again. Santalot Racing, good job there for Christopher Haas, but the team that lost out was the team that was 2nd. That's the Tempo Racing in the Audi battle. They've gone back to 4th well, it's third overall because, of course, the Lexus is the one that really lost out. It's tumbled way down the order. I'm trying to pick out where it is. It could be as low as 8th place.
Well, I don't know why the pit stop took so long. We were on board with the Bentley. Pantaccini we saw on board last night. So where has the Bentley slotted back in? We need to get the Pantaccini is...
Well, he's ahead of the Lexus, that much we can see.
Technically he's in 5th place because we've now... Everybody has made their pit stop, so the field is Van Thor leading, and that's clear. But on board with Aurelian Panis, and that car is 7th place, running right behind Kelvin Van Der Linde. Now the squirt that the Lexus has got ought to give it some advantage.
Well, very busy. Well, a thump up the back, car 31. No holds barred there from Kelvin Van Der Linde, giving a tap to the back of the Lexus. So welcome to the circuit for Aurelian Panis, and then that in turn getting very busy.
Yeah, he just got shuffled up. That allowed Van Der Linde to come up the inside and turn 5 into turn 6. So Van Der Linde on his toes, but look where he goes. He's gone. I mean, oh my, I don't know what to say. But he's way off racetrack. So Van Der Linde used his brain. That's a racing brain. That's what a racing brain understands. Sees opportunities, seizes them at the earliest opportunity, and then puts himself ahead. That was a relatively easy pass on the Lexus. Any other time, that would be a much more difficult pass.
Okay, let's refresh everyone's memory. The Lexus led the race. The one and only Lexus led away from pole position, was up to 3 seconds clear. It was chased by 3 Audis, but now those 3 Audis are 1st, 2nd and 3rd. And Lexus, after the pit stops, now in the hands of Aurelian Panis, down in 7th place. The order is Dries Van Tor leading from Christopher Haas, Matthias Rudi, Mauro Engel looking the best of the Mercedes runners. Rafa Marciello is the second of those. He's 5 positions further back in 9th. He may make progress, but unfortunately for him, his teammate Timo Boguslawski didn't do the job that he'd hoped to do. And in fact, there is Raffaele Marciello's car. You can see the green Bentley just up ahead, but a bit further back than he'd like to be.
The thing that we're seeing right now at the front is a masterclass yet again from Dries Van Thor, just fastest sector time of sector 2. Got a 3-second advantage over Christopher Haas, and basically going to stretch that.
What we have to remember, of course, before the pit stops, his car was running in 3rd place and had really good job done by Charles Weerts in the opening stages of the race. But the combination of a quick in-lap, great work by the crew, and a very quick out-lap by Dries Van Tor, their lead is now as large as the largest lead that had been enjoyed by the Lexus in the early stages of the race. Nelson Panciatici in the Bentley looking very busy indeed, but quick through that final corner, turn 16, trying to hunt down Mauro Engel. Might be able to do so. Only half a second between them.
The Lexus just pulls out and passes. Now, that's one of the back markers, but nevertheless gives you an indication of the advantage that the Lexus has got in terms of its straight line performance. So just to cut across that, but Panciatici was doing, I think he's doing, considering he's right in the middle of a battle of Mercedes in front, Audi behind. There is the Lexus. That's the car that led from the lights going out, but whatever the reason, their pit stop let them down, and they've fallen back all the way back into 7th position.
So much of this comes down to practice built on the back of experience. Tech 1 Racing, been racing for a long time, but at the top level of GT racing, Belgian Audi Club Team WRT, they seem to have the answer to all the questions in the pit lane. And this afternoon, combination of a great opening stint by Charles Weerts and a really good pit stop has put Dries Van Tor in the lead of the race, starting to stretch his way clear from Christopher Haas. But let's go through the classes. Eddie Cheever leading the Pro-Am class, 15th place overall, and with, of course, the Bertolini Michiel's car going for a country tour, that's put them well in the lead of the class. 6.5 seconds clear in the Pro-Am class. The silver class is now being led by Aurelian Panis, but instead of leading the race, as that car was in the first stint, that's down in 7th overall. So some great run, and again a chance. Eddie Cheever likes to show us his feet. This is 93 working hard. Yesterday we saw this when they were running behind a safety car, John, so a little less action.
But I mean, look at the size of the brake pedal. It almost is the entire size of his left foot. So there's no such thing these days as the old-fashioned lift off the throttle and you bring your right foot across. It's all left foot based on what people did when they went karting. So the clutch pedal's gone. It's all electric gear change. Can't get my head around it. Instinctively, my right leg wants to come across. As they say.
Entirely so, Dave. Edna Everidge. Car 32 leading the race. Dries Van Tor had a big smile on his face last night. He shared victory in the first of the 3 races here at Misano that's getting the sprint season underway. Shared it with Charles Wirtz and could be heading for another. The pit window is still open. I think everybody has made their visits. Yes, they have. That'll close in a few minutes. But it was that dive in. It didn't work for Attempto Racing. Their car was the first one in, and that's running third in this pack now. Matthias Trudy just coming into shot there. There he is going into turn 11, but he's lost ground with that.
This is going to be the interesting battle in the current phase. Is the Bentley running behind the Mercedes? Of course, the cars have been handed over. Paginici in the Bentley, Mauro Engel in the Mercedes, and two drivers going to go at it, hammer and tongs. Two physically large cars compared, let's say, to the Audi or to the Lamborghinis. These cars are big GT3 cars, so a little bit less space for them to maneuver around one another on some of the, for example, into turn 16. Forget about it.
Good chance to see how the drivers ride the curve on the outside. Of course, we saw Giacomo Alto going too wide and bucking over the big sausage curbing that is outside, on the outside of the regular curbing, and it's there for warning the drivers, but that was a real bronco ride for him. And instead of being up at the sharp end of the field, he was in about 4th, 5th, 6th position at the time. Suddenly he was down to 10th, and that car in the hands of his teammate Albert Costa is running in that 10th place. So what you lose, it's very hard here at Misano to get back. And what has been lost by the Tech 1 Racing crew is the lead of the race. It certainly will be hard to get back, because at the moment he's about 10 seconds down. Aurelien Panis in 7th place overall.
Raffaele Marcello in 9th position. He was disappointed with that. He's running behind Norbert Siedler in the second of the Emil Frey Lamborghinis. Again, it's the same old story. Lap time versus the ability to overtake. I'm sure that Raffaele Marcello, as we saw in race 2, has got the capacity to lead a race very comfortably indeed. But if he can't find a way to get past a car which has got the advantage at this part of the racetrack, look the way it's just stretching its leg, pulling fractionally every yard. It just pulls another few meters or not meters, yards, whatever, inches, centimeters. And by the time you get down to the end of the back straight, you just can't get quite into contact. Up the inside, if you're going to do it, you've got to be careful. Oh, Raffaele Marcello will push the envelope wherever he can. He needs to be careful in 15. He cut the corner 2 years ago, took the left front out of the car, thinks about up into 16. Again, if not far enough up, Siedler is going to have to take his line into the corner, and otherwise there's going to be contact.
Well, I thought it was going to be a repeat of the Bentley move up the inside of the sister car. Out over the curbs it went, and down the race order it went, but this time
Siedler's a bit more knowledgeable and experienced, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And he's holding on very well indeed to that position, but really having to work so hard. Marcello pushing. They're fighting over 8th and 9th positions, but not that it makes any difference at all to Marcello. He just has his job to do, and his job is to get past. He will find a way, I'm sure of that.
Well, Bruce, the thing that we don't know and could happen is we could have another full course yellow situation, then leading to a safety car intervention. The whole field will then back up against, and that's the opportunity. That's really all that Marcello in this moment can hope for, because he knows that getting past Siedler in the Lamborghini ain't going to be an easy task, and he's got other cars of equal performance further down the road. Catching them may be one thing, but then getting through them is another thing. So the only opportunity will be, as I've said, full course yellow followed by a safety car intervention, and then you take your chances once that race goes green again.
Yeah, suddenly turn 1 and turn 2 become places where passing is possible. The car of similar speed, because at the moment they're running just with a half-second gap between them, and that just doesn't give you enough chance. It's not the place to make the move. Turn 8, a possibility, the infield tight double left-hander, and possibly down into turn 13, 14, but those moves are few and far between here at Misano, but certainly not for want of trying. Oh, out very wide at turn 15. Siedler, but he whips back onto the track just before they get to turn 16 and has a relatively tidy, better exit for the chasing 88 Mercedes though, John.
The Lambo's going to go to defensive down the right-hand side, but there's not enough pace in the Mercedes to swing and cut across the front, but now he's got Siedler slightly wrong-footed out of position, both left and right, but it's going to be out of here, turn 3, where he's going to gain the advantage if it's going to happen at all. Yes, it has. He's got the nose alongside the Lamborghini. He's taken away, I would say, the low ground, but watch the Lamborghini is slipping up the inside, almost the double undercut. So, consolidation.
But that was...
Oh, my heart was in my mouth, and I've got a big mouth.
But what happened, it was a mistake going through turn 15 that compromised Siedler, and he didn't get the right line through 16, didn't get good exit, better exit for the Mercedes, and that gave them momentum, but patience was required by Marcello.
Absolutely, that's what Marcello was doing. He was working over Siedler, Seidler came up the back end of the Mercedes, almost getting away. It was the run down into turn 1 where Seidler had to go defensive, and that then was going to be the compromise. And Marcello recognised that. He didn't try and do anything in turns 2. He waited until the exit of 3 and the run into 4. And that's thinking beyond where you are and understanding what racing's about. And that was a well thought through and executed overtake by an experienced and very capable guy.
And it's a joy to watch things like that. A thinking man's approach to racing. It would be very easy with the better exit from turn 16 for Marcello to try and go up the inside into turn 1. That was blocked off, cut off. You have to wait. Go into turn 2. No, wait. Make him go wide in turn 3. Yes, he has gone wide in the Lamborghini position.
But you know, it's even questionable if he left the door open, whether Marcello would have been able to A, gain advantage, and secondly, slow down to take advantage of the advantage. It's one of those things you're thinking on the hoof. I mean, we sit back in the comfort of our studio and analyse it and talk about it. And, you know, okay, I've got some experience in it, but nevertheless, you're having to react in real time. And Seidler did what he thought was the right thing. He defended going into turn 1, and I think fundamentally he did the right thing.
Yeah, had he decided not to take the inside line, it could have ended up with both of the cars off the circuit, and I think they're too experienced for that, but there's always a possibility if the door can be left open. But look, the clock is counting down, 19 minutes remaining, and Dries Van Toort nearly 3 seconds to the good. This is going to be quite a haul of points for him if he's going to go home with a first place, a fourth place in the first 2 races, and a first in the third. But where is the challenge coming from? Pulling ever further clear. Matteo Druidy's been very, very promising this weekend and rapid, but it's not to come from him.
No, but I tell you, Druidy is one of the stars for me going to be of the 2020 season. He carries a lot of natural speed. He gets on with the job. It's done in a way where he almost sails under the radar. So he is one of the Audi crew, along with others, and the yellow car with Christopher Haas on board, his young French teammate Arthur Rouget, another one. So many of the young guys coming into the Audi family, 3 different families comprising the Audi operation in GT3 racing, all capable and on their day of taking victory.
Another Audi driver who could, if things had been aligned better, be pitching for victory. That's Kelvin Van Der Linde. We're looking at him from Nelson Panciotici's Bentley, so he's up to 6th place now, and he's closing in. So for Team WRT, don't forget he took a 2nd place yesterday evening's race, and certainly Kelvin Van Der Linde can squeak whatever performance is out of the car. Nice and tidy as he follows the Bentley. Might get enough of a pull and have a bit more punch down into turn 8 on the inside. Not this that, he's 3 car lengths back, but he's getting closer all the time.
It was here in last night's race that Panciottici opened the door and let Dries Van Toort slide through. That was after the restart of a safety car intervention. A little bit cautious on the opening lap. Didn't need to be asked twice. Again, up the inside can force the issue. Well, Van Der Linde, I thought he had, but there's contact surely to the right, rear, left, front of those 2 cars. Looked like Van Der Linde had managed to get up enough on the inside, but Panciottici had enough momentum. He was able to carry it around the outside of 10 and then retain that position. Good driving between 2 guys.
Certainly was, and in fact, seen from a different angle, I'd like to see how wide Panciottici had to run. Must have been skirting very well. Let's ride on board and take a look. Panciottici given a bit of a shove by. That's down at 14. He's got to go around the lap, but certainly Panciottici was skirting with the gravel trap on the exit of turn 10, and of course you then wouldn't be able to overtake, and just managed to squeak back onto the circuit in time. Lights are flashing from Kelvin Van Der Linde, but I don't think that's going to disturb the Bentley driver. But it has meant that the Bentley driver has now fallen off the tail of Baro Engel. Engel can now try and focus on the cars ahead, but he did it nearly 7 seconds down on those trio of Audis at the front of the race, so it just shows the pace the Audis have. And I'm sure Kelvin Van Der Linde has that same pace, but he's bottled up behind the Bentley and the Mercedes.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you're caught behind 2 cars that have got good straight line performance, and the momentum that Van Der Linde would normally expect to have, he's having to compromise. And look at his hands going up out of frustration. You know, I know I'm quicker. Give me a shot. Here's the shot into turn 8, but covered off by the Bentley, so no entry down the inside. I think forward up again 1 lap earlier. You had to go into turn 9. It's going to, I mean, the Bentley's going to cover it. Is he going to go the long way around the outside and try and get the undercut on the exit of 10? That's his plan. As he got the grunt off the corner. The Bentley's got the grunt. It's got the physical grunt, but not, unfortunately, for Van Der Linde.
Right, reset the mind, Kelvin Van Der Linde. I've tried it once, I've tried it twice, it hasn't worked, and in fact each time it's let the Bentley get further ahead because Pansy been able to get the power down sooner, and the famous Bentley grunt has been great. Don't forget, when we saw the Bentley fighting for honours against the Lexus yesterday evening, it was the Lexus that had all the grunts out of corners, but very twitchy there from Pansy down, coming out of turn 14.
And look at the amount of vertical on the wing, the shake on that rear wing structure. Just gives you an indication just what the good exit from Van Der Linde this time out of turn 16. Goes to the right hand side, not close enough to do anything about it, but again it's just wow, almost overruns into the back of the Bentley. Is there contact or not? I wasn't sure, just at the right front caught the left rear of the Bentley as they transitioned from left to right. Then again up into turn 4. The Audi staying slightly higher, trying to make the undercut into 5, gets alongside. And again, I mean the body rubbing going on, and you get more body rubbing in a paint shop than you're getting here.
This is made for TV, this racing, isn't it? The Bentley can carry a forward and backward camera in every race as far as I'm concerned, because what you've got is Kelvin Van Der Linde. His Audi is quicker, it is more nimble, but it hasn't found a way past. He tried every single variety possible. Where's he going to try next? He's looked at turn 9. What's Pansy thinking? You go around the outside, chum.
Well, I mean, Pansy is just covering everything off and forcing Kelvin Van Der Linde to look at other options, and those options are not really going to get the job done. So clever driving from the Bentley. Kelvin Van Der Linde trying to work it out. He's got limitations on where he's got a chance to do it, and we've seen those opportunities. Probably best up into turn 4. Nothing down here at the back end of the circuit into turn 14 now. Bentley wobbled a little bit. So Van Der Linde might be thinking of the rear tires and the Bentley beginning to suffer. I mean, the pressure I'm putting on the guy, they should be suffering.
Absolutely they should, but 2 laps in a row he's had a bit of a twitch coming out of 14. This may provide an opportunity. We saw it earlier in another battle. Get good exits out of 14, 15, and you may have a chance when you get to turn 1, but of course it was the Bentley doing the overtaking that time around. Now it's being the hunted. This is going to be a flash up the inside. Well, the door's not being left open enough for the Audi to go through. He's trying to go around the outside at turn 3. Can't see the Bentley from our position, but it will be alongside. It will have the inside line to the following corner. Look how the Lexus has caught right up with them.
And that's what I was going to say. Suddenly the Lexus is back in a race, and all of a sudden the Lexus, which was running, well, still running in 7th place, has got the opportunity to end up 5th. With this squabble going on for 5th place, the Bentley pulling over to the left-hand side to take the softer entry line into turn 8. The Audi holding high, dives down the inside. And well, the Bentley reacted very much to what Kelvin Van Der Linde did, but the job has finally been done. Audi taking away that position. Watch the Lexus coming up to go round the outside of the Bentley. Oh, whoa! Big snap oversteer from the Bentley, slams into the right side of the Lexus. Completely innocent party, and wow, that's going to be a full course yellow, one would expect. That's the pressure that came from Kelvin Van Der Linde, and the frustration of having finally lost that position. Just suddenly the back end snapped, and the overreaction slammed into the right side of the Lexus. Oh, dear me, I didn't see that one coming.
No, absolutely not. What I was just building up to say is, let's see the punch of the Lexus down the back straight. We saw it last night, how good it was out of tight corners, and now full course, well, it's full course yellow. There it is, the FCY at the top of our screen. Yeah. So those Audis, I'm sure there'll be a safety car. And the Bentley driver, Pansy walking away. Unfortunate circumstance, but the driver who'll feel most aggrieved was a driver who was coming back into the race in the Tech 1 Racing Lexus. Had by his time, he'd caught almost 3 seconds up, a lot of debris on the circuit.
Suddenly the Lexus was back at the races. I mean, apart from the 2 damaged cars up against the barrier, there's a lot of carbon fibre charge just on the exit of the turn 9, turn 10 part of the racetrack. So, wow, well, nothing changes at the front.
What has changed at the front is the front of the Audi in 5th place. Look, it's rather bent, probably from contact with the back of the Bentley, and that's Kelvin Van Der Linde looking a little bit out of shape.
I think you could say that, Bruce.
Oh, I shall.
I think you could.
I shall say that. So let's refresh your memory. Dries Van Tor leading the race, 5 seconds to good over Christopher Haas. So since he took over from Charles Weerts, he's not only moved into the lead of the race due to that fantastic pit stop, but he's stretched his legs. But of course, the field will become bunched up again.
And Bruce, we know safety car or full course yellow, then a safety car. Under safety car, this field will be compacted, and we will have maybe, well, I don't know how long it's going to take to clear the 2 cars away from where they are on the outside of the racetrack, but if they can get those 2 cars cleared, and go back to full. Let's watch again and see what happens. So the Bentley is trying to regain ground. The back end snaps, then you get over. The car cuts back. The Lexus doing nothing wrong, sitting on the outside of turn 9. All of a sudden, now let's watch, see the reaction. Was there any contact between the Audi and the Bentley? I can't really see if there was or not.
Well, to my way of thinking, the Bentley had lost position. He'd been blocking to some extent for a handful of laps. Pansetici trying to keep Kelvin Van Der Linde behind him. But Van Der Linde had the inside line into turn 9. Elements of frustration. Unfortunately, maybe trying to gain a place around the outside. And why not? Because he had the pace into turn 9. Went the Lexus and Aurélien Panis, the car being lifted away now. Huge frustration.
Yeah, I mean, what the Bentley, in basic terms, what you had was a tank slapper from the Bentley. The back end stepped out. Pansetici would not have anticipated that very balanced snap back to the left. No control once the car had done it, and of course he had the Lexus on the outside and just went 90 degrees into the side of the Lexus and 2 cars out. Dries Van Der sitting back now, driving around at 50 kilometers per hour. Everything's getting nice and refreshed. Oil, water temperatures are dropping. Crucially, tire pressures and tire temperatures are dropping as well. But Van Der has got enough experience to know how to deal with that when this race goes green, and we've got just under 10 minutes of this race to go.
Well, he's done restarts before. He'll be the driver that can dictate. We've seen quite a few really clever restarts. Raffaele Marciello controlling this morning's race, and he backed the cars up in turn 14 to almost standstill, and then between 14 and 15 he suddenly floored it just as they were all getting on their brakes, and that gave him the advantage. And I'm sure Dries Van Der has enough now to consider something similar. The next car in the line will be Christopher Haas, so he's got no rookie behind him. He's got ultra experienced driver who's going to be set next in line. Matteo Drudi, well, he'll attack anything at any time. And for Maro Engel, that car always rises to the top, and it's going to be the next car in the line. He'd fallen about 5 seconds behind the Audis. This is his chance to get right back with them. Looking there at the Silver Cup class leader now, Hugo Chevalier sharing with Pierre-Alexandre Jean, because obviously the Lexus was the leading Silver class car, but that's the one that's been taken away on a flatbed.
Wouldn't that be ironic?
The sister car to the Bentley.
The principal challenger to the silver entry of Bentley. So the CMR Racing Bentley is now leading, having had the Pro car take out the leading silver car. I mean,
that's how
who's writing these scripts?
Well, they've got a sense of entertainment and storyline. The Awega brothers are second in the Silver Cup class. You could just see there, 33 Audi closing up on the CMR Bentley, and third in classes Mad Panda Motorsport, Ezekiel Perez Compang and Axel Jeffries. Leading the Pro-Am class and comfortably is Sky Tempesta Racing, Edward Cheever the third on board at the moment. They've had a good weekend, I think, really positive for the team.
To me, this is looking a very strong Pro-Am lineup. I hope this is going to be the lineup of that car for the season. Seems to work very well indeed.
Yeah, and second car in Pro-Am is still the number 20 SPS Automotive Performance Mercedes. Dominic Bauman's taking that over from Valentin Pierberg. And third is the AF Corsa Ferrari. But we saw that had the big moment at turn 16 when it ran off the circuit. It looks like the clean-up job has been done very, very swiftly indeed.
They've done a good job. So let's look again and see what happened. The turn into the Bentley, on the turn into just the back end steps out. In fact, it just clobbers the right front of the Lexus, and all of a sudden, what I wasn't clear about, I still am not clear about whether here did the Bentley touch the back of the Audi, which deflected it. The forward-facing camera angle didn't indicate it, but that would make me suggest that there may have been the mirrors that touched enough to deflect the Bentley. Not at this point, but just fractionally before the back end stepped out. Was that what caused the Bentley to suddenly lose the back end, and then the overreaction and the tank snapper that took it into the Lexus?
Okay, the safety car has been pulled out, and the thing I was looking at in that replay was because Pansetici and Van Der Linde had been so messy coming out of turn 8, with the punch, the famous thrust you get from the Lexus, it had actually got its nose in front, but being on the outside line of the corner had to start braking. His options were diminished. Then, of course, they were completely diminished when the Bentley came across and thumped into him and took him off into the barriers.
The Lexus was not thinking about making the pass into turn 9 or 10. Was thinking about it. You know, he was just trying to get himself high up in the middle of turn 9, 10, then to dive down and do the undercut going onto the straight. Never to happen. So we got 5 and 3/4 minutes of this race, and there the safety car is on track. So the field is all bunching back up together. And I wonder how long. I think the safety car might even be in, although we've not had any indication that they'll be in pretty soon. They may want the rest of the field to close up behind the 163 Lamborghini. That's the Alberto Costa car.
Well, I must say, John, over the course of the many races here at Misano this weekend, it has been a form they're desperately keen to get the cars bunched up and then racing again. They've done it. We've had some quite late safety car crews, but they've all managed to get the job done before the race is over.
Some of the other cars are only making their ways round turns 2 and 3. So there's a massive gap between the leading group of cars. Here are the rest. They're out for a Sunday afternoon drive. They're not with the program. They should not be that far back.
Absolutely, they shouldn't. They should be having their team radio contact, screaming at them in the nicest way possible. Catch up, catch up. We've had a few laps under full course yellow. You can predict there's going to be a safety car. Someone in the team's got to predict there's a safety car. And I think effectively from Albert Costa back, well, in fact, I can tell you it's a 20-second gap.
I mean, that's just ridiculous.
The CMR Bentley, that's the one leading the Silver Cup class.
Well, the Bentley's now caught up to the back of the field. And the other safety car coming in.
Okay, so, but look, the 33 Awega Audi should be catching right off the tail. It isn't. This is its chance. It's running second in the silver class. This would be its chance to take the battle to the blue CMR Bentley. Hasn't taken it.
Watch what's going to happen. Watch Van Thor. He's going to wait. He knows that Christopher Haas is stuck to the back of like a bit of fly paper. Cannot get much closer. As soon as he senses that the lead Audi is about to go, he will be hard on it. And likewise, in third place, Matteo Drudi will be doing the sending. So Van Thor's gone, Haas is gone, Drudi's gone. Look at Drudi ducking one way and the other, trying to get temperature into the tires before they come into turn 16 and trying to pull away from the Maro Engel in the Mercedes. Now weaving around just to get those tire temperatures and pressures back up.
Haas really showed his experience there. He wasn't the one predicting the start, but he sort of guessed it right. And actually only into turn 1 did he lose a bit of ground, but he was right on the tail of race leader Dries Van Tor. But Van Tor, the Belgian, has done what he needs to do. Raffaele Marcello in 6th place. We're riding on board with him now. He's looking up the inside of Kelvin Van Der Linde, who hasn't had enough fun in this race as yet and is about to have a challenge from behind. He was the hunter trying to get past Panciatici, and of course we saw what happened after that incident. We've cleared up the debris from that, and now the black Audi number 31 is being pushed very hard by Rafa Marciello in the 88 Mercedes.
And I think in the lead Van Thor has done sufficient to draw himself ahead of Christopher Haas and not to be concerned where that yellow Audi is in the mirrors. There you see the leader, that second place, third place. Drudi is the one, I suspect, of this leading group of cars. And again, Marciello in the mix, trying to get away around Kelvin Van Der Linde, which in itself is no easy task.
Absolutely not, but it's still the 3 Audis at the front of the field. Van Tor, Haas and Drudi in behind the Lamborghinis fighting with each other, and a little bit of overtaking happening down towards the back of the field. The ERC Sport Mercedes actually just pulling it out of their way. Phil Keane, of course, trying to play catch-up. That was the car that didn't want to get away at the start of the race from the grid, if you remember.
Van Der Linde all over the back of Maro Engel. So he's thinking about making a move, trying to get his Mercedes or his Audi up into 4th place. They get an Audi 1, 2, 3, 4. Big task, 2 minutes remaining this lap and one more lap. In the meantime, Marciello doing much the same thing, thinking I want to get my Mercedes ahead of that pesky Audi.
Certainly so, and the 2 Lamborghinis in behind Norbert Siedler and Albert Costa. So don't forget the Costa car was the one that went vaulting over the curbs in the hands of Giacomo Alto. So that's done well to get back up. Done well not to be damaged, frankly, because it was airborne several times in that sequence. Right, Rafa Marciello, 6th place overall, trying his utmost to get past Kelvin Van Der Linde up the inside. Not this time around. Through turn 6 they go onto that infield straight. Turn 8, the one that follows, you've got this little kink just under the bridge at turn 7. Lots of passing can happen down to turn 8, but Marciello surely not close enough this time. No. Maybe next time around. It's the last lap next time.
Little flinch from the Audi of Kelvin Van Der Linde in the turn in.
Mercedes running a little wide in front of it on the exit of the corner. Maro Engel trying to hang on, but the Audi's getting away all over again.
Yeah, but it looks
getting
to
closer.
me the gap is getting closer. I mean, the gap between first and second on this lap looks to me as if it's a little closer than it was just one lap ago when we had this restart. Coming up to the... Well, we're going to get one more lap. We're coming down back straight on board with Kelvin Van Der Linde. He's got Marciello all over him, behind him. He's looking forward to Maro Engel, just watching the mirrors. Is Marciello going to make a lunge? Well, if he is, he didn't succeed. So again, the Audi a little bit more nimble in this part of the racetrack. but when it gets to the squirt off the corners, not an awful lot you can do against the V8 twin-turbo power, or naturally aspirated power of the Mercedes.
1 lap to go. It's Audi's leading the way. Dries Van Tor, Christopher Haas right under his tail, half a second down. And in third place, less than half a second down, Matthias Drudy, but the time is running out. We only have 16 turns. We've only got 30 to go. They're through turn 3 on this, the final lap. Is it going to be 2 wins from 3 outings here at Misano for Dries Van Tor and Charles Weerts? Certainly, Matthias Drudy pushing very hard in third place. Christopher Haas pushing even harder in second. But as we speak, it looks like Dries Van Tor is just pulling away slightly further clear out of turn 6. A really good run onto the infield straight. He's safe for now, surely.
Yes, I would say, other than if it's something unforeseen, and I can't see anything that's unforeseen. He's got nobody ahead of him to concern, and he hasn't got Christopher Haas breathing all over the rear of his car, so he's not going to be challenged from behind. It's other than some unforeseen or something on the track, or he makes an error, which I don't anticipate. So the top 3 are going to finish in the order that we see now. What's going to happen 4th, 5th and 6th? Well, that's, I think, still up for the bids, but it looks to me as if 4th place is pretty much consolidated by Luca Stolz, Kelvin Van Der Linde, and then rounding out the top 6, Raffaele Marcello.
Yeah, and in fact, John, I've just taken a really close look. There is missing bodywork on the right rear corner of the 55 Audi. Got clouted at the first corner at the start of the race. In the hands of the second drivers now, so it's not their faults. But Dries Van Tor, surely now, as he goes through 14 into 15 and up to 16 the final corner, will make it 2 wins from 2 outings here at Misano. Not bad return from the other, 4th place as well. That's a huge points haul for him and his teammate Charles Weerts. So Audi 1, 2, 3, a Mercedes in 4th, a Mercedes in 6th, and in between them the 4th of the Audis before the 2 Lamborghinis come through. And the silver class winner in 9th place overall, Hugo Chevalier. So some return at least for the CMR team. And in that queue of cars, Eddie Cheever the third coming through in 13th place. He takes the Pro-Am honours. But overall honours and the biggest haul of points this weekend. Not quite the maximum haul, but pretty much as close as you can imagine. Charles Weerts and Dries Van Tor, the driver who's bringing it home, brought it home past the checkered flag. Now enjoying a little release of pressure. That was an intense race. Certainly the trio of Audis were very, very close to each other at the front of the field. So there's going to be a lot of pride if you come out on top of that battle. And for Dries Van Tor and young Charles Weerts, it's been a fantastic weekend at Misano.
Well, it just goes to prove that winning a race is not about being quickest in qualifying. It's about coming first, taking the checkered flag. And that's what Dries Van Tor and Charles Weerts have done. Excellent pit work to get the driver changed, the pit stop turned around to give them the advantage. And of course, we remember the Lexus losing out big time, having led the race very comfortably indeed in the hands of Thomas Neubauer, but then losing it all when they went into the pits. And that's what you get in races where you've got pit stops.
Well, let's take a look at the overall order at the end. Charles Weerts, who started the race, and Dries Van Tor, who brought it home. 0.7 of a second. Of course, we had that late race safety car period. Arthur Rougier started well. Christopher Haas finished very well. Second place for them in their Audi from Sansalot Racing. And Tommaso Mosca, a new name on the block. Very impressive. Matthias Drudy, we know he's quick. 3 Audis in the top 3 positions. Super close. For Mercedes, they had to make do with 4th place. Luca Stolz and Maro Engel then bring it home. Kelvin Van Der Linde in the wars, but he came through in 5th place. And then Raffaele Marcello and Timo Bogoslawski, who won this morning, rose up to 6th place. So a decent return for them at the end. And for those behind, there were many questions about what may have happened. There were still place changes on the final lap. In fact, I noticed in the in the Silver Cup class, Ezekiel Perez Compact gained a position to go 2nd in that class on that final lap, just getting ahead of Hamza Owega. But we had 22 cars starting the race. We had, unfortunately, at the end, a few missing, but plenty of incident here at Misano, and that's the first time in the history of the GT World Challenge European Series. We've had 3 races in a weekend and so much incident to chew over, but it's all about consistent excellence in a championship like this. If you're not finishing first, if you can keep finishing in the top 3, you're going to be looking pretty, because other cars are having problems.
It is so intensely competitive. You know, the balance of performance, we refer to it frequently, and what the balance of performance is doing is denying any one manufacturer, brand or whatever, from domination. Domination destroys a series. So now we have an Audi winning, as it happens, winning in Imola. We've had Audis winning here and Mercedes today, an Audi winning last night. What we need now is to get the Bentley to win, we need to get the Lexus to win, and they will win. They will have their day, whether it's in the sun or the rain, in a 24-hour race or a 6-hour race or 1,000 kilometers, whatever. Their day will come, and that's what makes it such an attractive series.
Exactly so, and seeing the different marques fighting each other, I really, really enjoyed the battle between the Lamborghini and the Bentley, just seeing the size difference of the cars, the way they could perform. But in terms of consistent excellence, this driver, he watched his brother Laurent for years, but Dries has just become fantastic. And there's a driver, his even younger teammate, Charles Weerts, just shows what it means to them. They are looking set for a rock-solid season.
There's no question about it. I mean, the partnership, initially it was a bit of an inexperience on the one hand, Charles Weerts coming in. His father is a partner in the WRT team, so you wonder whether, well, was that the reason he's there, or is it because he's naturally good? He is naturally very good indeed. Just happens to be young and happens to be the son of one of the partners. He's got Dries van Thor as his teammate, who has evolved over the last 3 seasons to become a stellar GT3 driver at any level, anywhere in the world.
Well, I'm sure we'll hear from them very shortly. In fact, we're going to go down and hear from Dries van Thor and Charles Weerts, because Gemma Scott has caught up with the race winners. What a weekend they've had at Misano.
Dries, Charles, what a weekend. 2 wins out of 3 races. That's the dream, and that race was incredibly exciting, especially at the end there. So much dicing. A tough drive, Dries.
Yeah, I mean, we still had a new set of tires in the pit lane, so we decided to put them on. And yeah, Charles did an amazing job. He made a mega start, better than yesterday. He learns out of the day, so very happy. And the car was absolutely amazing. We could really use the new tire, and the guys in the pit lane are absolutely legends. They are so fast, it's unbelievable.
Teamwork is key, isn't it, Charles?
Yeah, exactly. Dries did again an amazing job. Like now we are used to since a couple of years with him. But yeah, as you said, the race has been won in the pits, so a big shout out to all the guys who are working their ass off to really make us the quickest. And yeah, I mean the time they make us gain in the pit is just incredible. So big thanks to them for the car and for the pit stop.
2 times P1. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
So again, picking up on the consistent excellence of not just the driving, but both drivers giving credit to the team. WRT are the masters of the pit stop. Others will rise to the challenge, but it's just they do it again and again.
Consistency at every level, whether it's on the racetrack, in the pit lane, in the engineering and the management. It's about people. And if you employ good people and they do their job correctly, you will get results. It's not complicated, but it's not always easy to get the right elements at the right time in the right place.
Entirely so, and they have done that year in, year out. It's up to the others to challenge them. We've seen great speed from the other teams, but it was the pit stop today that really, really helped Dries van Thor emerge in the lead of the race. So, looking down in the paddock, a great mix of cars, but for Audi, they'll have the enormous smile on their faces. Top 3 positions filled by them. Mercedes not that far behind, but they were hauled up really by the fact the safety car got them close in, but the Audis, when it came to rejoining, knew exactly what they had to do, and they delivered it absolutely beautifully. So another car we want to go and catch up with, the crew of car number 25, Christopher Haas, who shared it this weekend with Arthur Rougier. We're going to hear a lot more from them, starting right now.
Audi have had an incredible weekend here, 2nd place in this race as well, boys. That was certainly an action-packed race right at the end, but every single race this weekend has been challenging. We could have thrown blankets over cars at many moments throughout. The positions and the timings have been so close. Chris, you've just finished that stint, looking incredibly hot.
Yeah, it was really incredibly hot out there, especially in the cockpit. And as you said, I mean, the racing was very close racing. Thanks to Art, they had a nice qualifying, had a fantastic start, and we had a great pit stop. Our car was running well, and I'm really happy with P2, and the team deserved it.
A nice challenge to be paired up for this season.
Yeah, actually it was a really good race. I did what I could with the start. Then, yeah, of course, as you said, a really good pit stop. Then he did the job towards the end of the race. Yeah, double podium, like race 2 and race 3. I mean, personally, a first weekend in this series, like in sprint, yeah, of course it's a great start, and yeah, Chris did the job, the team did the job, and yeah, really happy about that.
Well done, a fantastic result. Thank you very much, boys. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Great to hear from some fresh young well, not quite so fresh after the race, but Arthur Rougier, I think we're really going to keep an eye on him this season. First season out of GT4, only one season in GT races before that, doing single-seaters. Only 20 years old. We've got these fresh faces coming in, and it really is just going to keep the old drivers like Dries Van Tor, who must be all of, 22 years old, on their toes this season.
I mean, I think it's always wonderful when you see a new wave, a new generation coming in. Sometimes they take a little bit longer to learn than others. Some adapt really, really quickly. But people like Rougier in particular and Mattia Drude, who's been around maybe slightly more a longer period, but coming to the fore, getting the opportunities to drive in a competitive frontline team.
Talking of Mattia Drude, I think that's him walking in with Tommaso Mosca. And Mosca also very, very impressive to qualify right at the sharp end of the grid for this race, a packed field. It just shows, yeah, there's Mosca in the red and white overalls and Mattia Drude in the black overalls on the right. Third overall today. They were in the mix. A little bit of car damage in the opening corner of the race, but the fact they were up there and the fact we had 3 teams running Audis fighting for overall victory means that none of them can relax. And here's the crew in second place. We heard from Arthur Rougier and Christopher Haas, but they will grab with both hands the points for Santalot Racing today, and of course the cheque for €10,000. Thank you very much, as well as their trophies and a useful points haul. And this the third of the 3 races at Misano this packed weekend.
And just, I mean, Bruce, looking at the guys that look really fresh, saying, and Christopher Haas said, man, that was really hot, and these cars get hot inside. But just gives you an indication that the level of fitness and training that they've been able to do. Of course, in lockdown, they've had the opportunity in their own homes to focus on their training, and it's just race fitness that they're now working back up to, getting your body accustomed to the loads, the braking, the cornering, the lateral loads. They'll be there in a couple of more races.
Oh, absolutely they will, but it was a very humid day as well. But the victors going to the podium, Dries Van Tor and Charles Weerts, and a representative from Belgian Audi Club Team WRT. They take the winner's check as well, but the most important thing for them is the points. So the national anthem rings out. The Belgian national anthem for 2 Belgian drivers seems very fitting indeed. We have many more podium ceremonies to follow, but I think for quite a few of the drivers here, for the first time, they've had to analyse how they performed across 3 races over 2 days. And again, if you're consistent, you're going to see your points tally really starting to rise very quickly indeed.
I mean, I really enjoy this 3-race weekend format. But of course, it puts a load of extra stress and pressure on teams, because you look at the amount of car damage we've seen over these 3 races. Primarily, it's been bodywork, but some of it's been mechanical suspension, some of it's radiators and whatever. So it's great sitting back in the coolness of a commentary box when these drivers are out there driving their hearts and souls out. But the people in the pit lane in the garage, they've then got to go and put it all back together again.
Yeah, and there were engine changes, and the Awega brothers, Yusuf and Hamza, have just left the podium. Mad Panda, well, living up today. Ezekiel Perez compact, he makes me laugh the whole time, and Mad Panda just sums him up, I think. And his new teammate, Axel Jeffries, been doing a lot of Lamborghini racing, but he's been dying to get in the GT World Challenge. I think we'll see more from them. The fact is, on the final lap, a position was gained.
I mean, I wonder, Mad Panda, and I'm surprised somebody hasn't made a comment about abuse of animals. I mean, it's just such a fantastic name for a team.
It's off the ball. He is a totally off the ball character, and he would have loved the fact that he gained a place on the final lap as well, racing to the flag. But Victor's in the CMR Bentley, winning the Silver Cup class. Hugo Chevalier and Pierre-Alexandre Jean, 2 drivers, very, very much on the up. So they did what they needed to do. Of course, we expected silver victory to go to the Lexus crew of Thomas Neubauer and Aurélien Panis, but their car taken out of the race close to the end. So the Marseillaise ringing out for the French team. CMR, they do go home with something, but their sister car, the green one, unfortunately ended up in the wall at the exit of turn 9. So it's a real yin and yang moment, but that can be motor racing, John. But right now, we're just waiting for the next batch of podiums, which will be for the Pro-Am class. So in the Pro-Am class, in third place, Andrew Bertolini and Louis Michiels in their Ferrari, the AF Corsa car. Don't forget, we saw that bouncing very wide and beyond, as you said, John, out of turn 16, the final corner in the first part of the race. Second place in the class, Dominic Baumann and Valentin Pierberg, two tall racers coming out for the SPS Automotive Mercedes team.
And sometimes, because there's so much action going on at the front of the field, all these inter-class battles can get overlooked, and these drivers are racing every bit as hard as those racing at the front of the field.
Exactly so, and so again, the check is important, but right then in a competitive field, it's about putting the points in the bank, and a team that's really done that this weekend, Sky Tempesta Racing. Eddie Cheever the third, and Chris Froggatt coming out to take the winners' trophies for the Pro-Am class. They came here looking for the class win, and they're going home with it in their pocket. 10,000 euros, and for the team, a trophy as well. It's been a great weekend at Misano, John, for the GT World Challenge powered by AWS. This is the European Sprint Series 3-in-1 weekend. It's a format that's worked really well.
Yes, and looking forward to the next round where we're going to have 3 events. I think it's going to be, Barcelona.
The final round of the championship, the next 2 have 2 apiece. So the last of the national anthems rings out, and this is the end of our weekend. We'll be back in a few weeks from the Nürburgring. So thank you from me, Bruce Jones, and John Watson.